Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
How do?
We haven't done one of these in ages.
I know, has this worked again?
And we were just saying before the stream, everyone's cameras have got a lot better. Everyone's a little bit greyer. Everyone's in slightly more pain. And we thought it'd be nice to do a stream anyway. We thought it'd be a really nice time. So here we are. We want to listen to the album, give you guys a running commentary, talk about the songs a little bit after each one. And we've already got a hype train going, guys, which is great. If anyone in the chat... Hypey. Is the audio okay in Switch, by the way? Just making sure, because I've set all this up in a bit of a rush. I'm making sure it's all good. Looks like it is. It's good. Sick. Audio's mint. Fantastic. So, we're going on tour in not much time at all, a couple of weeks. And one of the things that is essential for us to go on tour with is coffee. We need it. First thing in the morning, and from Marsh last thing at night. And if anyone would like to hit the tip button and chug a $5 in the coffee pot, that would be flipping amazing. That's what we're tipping for on the stream, to get everyone delicious coffee all the way through the tour. We'll start and finish the tour with delicious coffee. So there we go.
Coffee.
If anyone wants to be even more excellent and bring us a bag of delicious beans to a show, what kind of coffee do we like, Marsh?
Beans.
Finca.
Finca?
You get some of that, don't you, from Tim Wenderbo? You get, you must have got a bag of Finca, the slightly peachy coloured one.
Maybe.
Anyway, too detailed.
Light roast, though. We're into our light roast stuff, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure.
We're not really into the dark stuff that they serve in America. That's terrible. We're not into that.
Although I'll be honest, go to Dunkin' Donuts. Their light roast is actually okay.
Is it?
Surprising, yeah.
But don't bring us Dunkin' Donuts beans.
Take the donuts, though. Donuts are fine.
Yeah, well, donuts. Just don't bring us the beans.
You just put the donuts in an air press.
It reminds me of them terrible beers that some people bring us sometimes. Like, what was that bacon maple one? It's like, no.
Bacon maple.
Donut, coffee,
The breakfast.
yeah.
We don't want that. All right. Let's get into it. We've got a load of questions that you guys have submitted and can continue to submit in the TesseracT Discord. We'll do a bit of a Q&A. But what we're going to do before that is have a listen to the record that we've never listened to before. And at the end of each song, or during each song, whatever, we'll just say a little bit about it, because I think everyone's got a slightly different experience. Or it affects us differently. Each song affects us a little bit differently. And it would just be good to talk about that.
So a little talk, a little bit of circle time.
So I'm going to turn it back up so that everyone can hear it and hit the same song that we just played. Oh, we just got a $10 donation. Yay.
Woo!
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My activity feed has stopped working. Let me just load this again. I can't see the activity feed. It's broken. I'll have to open that up somewhere else. All right. Natural Disaster. Here we go. First song on the album. Let's go.
Just watch us dance.
Oh dear, might go ahead.
Straight
There we go.
We had another £10 donation from Hudson.
Yeah,
So
let's just say a
thank you
quick
very
thanks to
much.
everyone that gave us stuff.
Thank you.
TesseracT official tipped us $20. Was that one of you
Wow.
guys?
Ourselves?
Did-
That's us, isn't it?
Wasn't me.
I don't understand.
I don't have $20 to tip.
The Tesseract is tipping itself.
I think we
Wait,
found an infinite loop
Perpetual
here.
money.
Yeah? We just have to go live on Twitch and it pays. We pay ourselves. I don't
£2 million to me.
Yeah. I don't understand how that's happened. I'm just looking at the activity feed on my phone because I can't get it to work on Twitch. TesseracT official tip $20.
Magic.
Shit.
Magic.
Albino
Quick.
tipped us 10 for coffee. $50 just came in. It might be 50 quid. I don't know if it's dollars or quids. I can't tell.
B Macus 004.
B Macker.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait for the Adelaide show next year, lads. Album is unreal. Thank you very much for the
Same.
50.
Oh, cheers, bud.
Cannot wait either.
That's going to get us
Adelaide's
some
awesome.
nice coffee, that is. We've had some subs as well. Refset, Mice, Sierra. Loads of people have subbed as well. Thank you very much. Sorry, I can't say words, can I? Natural disaster then, boys. Let's talk about that.
It's a song.
We
about
wrote that
disasters
song.
that are natural.
How did that
About
come
a
about? mate?
disaster.
How did it come about?
What was the first part of that? Because I don't remember how it
There's
pieced
something.
together.
The end of it was the first. The end of it. Dan was. I'm pretty sure you were singing that in the veg van on like that second tour. That's to me is a. It's from that
You mean
era.
Fantasy? The Fantasy demo,
It's
Maybe.
from,
It's
Wow,
it's from
that's-
an old demo called Fantasy, yeah.
which was
So
like
that
one
was like
year.
2010, 2011.
Yeah, long
No,
time.
do you know when I wasn't in the band for that brief period of
Oh, is
time?
it that?
Yes, yeah.
Me and Akil wrote that on the side, and it's actually based upon a idea that I did with a couple of friends even before TesseracT.
Excellent.
It's
So
a
it's a-
choral idea. It's a
Mm.
choral idea, and then it all grew
Mm.
from there, really. But
I
I
remember
remember,
that.
like, we were still in contact, and we were just like, oh, it would be really cool just to, like, just for the hell of it, just write another song together, just to chill out and keep that connection going.
Hmm.
And then we tried to do something with it for ages. Then we tried to get it on Polaris. Wasn't quite working out.
remember that.
'Cause the end section was like, it was a bit jolly, wasn't it? We couldn't figure out a way to make it a song. But we
ended up
kinda
being
meshed
Juno.
It together with. Did it?
Yeah, the I was
The
thinking
end
of that
was that
earlier
idea.
because I'd got the bit in my head that did. No, lies. It was. It doesn't matter. I can't remember, but it was another demo. It was another song that turned into a song that wasn't Natural Disaster. Carry on, Dan. I'll shut up.
That's all right. Is my mic any better? Because somebody asked me to turn it
It was a
up
bit
just then.
quiet. It's now fine.
It
I was
was a-
going to
is
message
it-
you
is
on
it
Messenger
fine?
and say,
Okay,
Dan,
yeah.
sort it out.
But
mate."
the first half of the song was just an independent little seed that we had knocking around for a long time, and we weren't sure what to do with it. And then Akil just went, "There you go."
Well,
Go
that
on.
the first riff, the da 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 riff, was a riff I did with Kat for her band like
Yes, it was.
7 years ago or something.
Ah, for Lion Face.
Yeah,
That was.
Um,
I thought it was the
think it's in that.
riff. Is it the riff after that? The gent, the junk, you know, the Exile groove.
no, I think the main like the da 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 da
Wow.
da da.
I remember that
I
now.
can't
Remember
imagine that
asking,
working.
Yeah, well, it's like a remix for like one of her tracks.
Ah.
I think I
So it's
remember
a
asking
super
her.
old track. Like,
Yeah, I remember asking her a couple of years ago, like, can we use that in TesseracT? Even though I wrote.
In the
Wow.
batch of ideas we had for the album, though, this was one of the very first or early songs that we were like, oh, that's a keeper. We'll try and work on that. Because I remember doing the vocals when Joel was a lot younger. I distinctly remember driving along the M1, writing that first chorus idea, going, oh, it's something. I'll try and lay that down later. It kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been, other than Fantasy, the demo name carried over, didn't it? It was Natural Disaster as a demo, and because a lot of them don't,
It
that
just
doesn't happen.
it just made total sense, you know, in terms of like the structure we were building around all these demos. It was like, okay, this has always sounded like the first track, and in my mind, it was just, okay, we got this chaotic beginning. It just sounded like a crash. It sounded like something had dropped into the world, and you're like, it was the perfect opener. And the concept of calling it natural disaster just made so much sense as well, because it was like, okay, here's this problem, snap, and there was no need to change anything because it just fit perfectly.
Do you remember?
That was a lucky. We landed on that quite well because that was that was just like a little, you know. Sometimes I give my demos at my end just funny little names and things that feel good, and ended up staying, which was quite nice because it actually slotted in with the concept perfectly in the end. And we had that quite a lot with a lot of the lyrics as well. In fact, a lot of the I'd say more than a few of the titles carried over. I mean, maybe they were changed at the last minute, but we had them right up to the very end, the majority of them. Demo name. Things like Sacrifice, that used to be called Crutch.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do.
I think that was the last couple of days that we basically changed that, wasn't it? Like, because I seem to remember Pete dealing with all the order of the songs, and Crutch was still labelled as such. So I same with Burden. What was Burden called before?
Realize.
Realize.
I think that was, you know, we hadn't figured the title for that until very late. But that's the way it should be, you know. You've got the body of work, and then you go, okay, well, this actually leads itself to something else, you know. Which is,
The Grey was called Sludge.
yeah,
Legion was called Echelon.
yeah,
Tender was always tender from the
yeah.
from the outset.
I think so. Yeah,
We wrote that on Twitch.
War of Being wasn't War of Being though. What was that?
it was Deviant.
Deviant, because
Yeah.
it's so metal. Listen to my metal song.
Did you start?
Sirens
that
was
with-
always Sirens as well.
Sirens is with Sirens.
It's
Yeah.
true for years as well.
For
Like,
years, yeah.
again, that's the
Pre
same.
Polaris, wasn't it?
It's the same time as the first half of Legion. You remember we started writing that at the same time, and that became Mirror Image, and then we split the song in half. So that has to be Polaris.
It's just after, just before Sunday.
Can you remember being
Polaris and fighting.
in the studio talking about the order in which everything was going to go, and we were pretty confident that Natural Disaster was going to be the first song, and I can remember Pete being like, "No, it's the obvious one, so you don't want it as the first song." And or he said something to that effect, and I was like, "Don't you take that away from
Nah.
like, it had to be the opening song." It makes perfect sense where it is now in context. You could put them in whatever order, I guess, but the order it's in makes the most sense when you listen to it in sequence. Apart from
Controversial.
if you remember Crutch, last song,
Sacrifice.
thank you.
Sacrifice.
God, demos, real names still there. That originally went into the grey. So you can listen
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that
the
little
link for it.
link at the
I still
end of
hear
the
that now.
album. I
Yeah.
go back into the grey every time because that's how it was in the
Yeah.
studio. Anyway, should we play another song and then talk about that
Speaking of
Or
the
go on.
grey, just while you're on that, just while you mentioned it, and we're talking about song order. Speaking of the grey, we all, before we release an album, we always think about what's gonna be the best songs to release first. Well, judging by the reaction, I feel like we should have swapped the grey for Natural Disaster.
Mm.
The Grey
Yes,
is a
I saw that,
great song,
actually.
but it doesn't seem to be going down as well with the peeps as other songs.
'cause
on the
people are
album.
wrong.
And you can never second guess it.
I mean, people
But
are
the great
wrong
thing,
quite
the good
often.
thing is though, I don't know about you, but I've seen loads of people shouting out their favourite song, and they're quite varied actually.
Yeah, no one's saying the same the same song.
No, it's good. I like it.
I like it.
Yeah,
It means we've
very-
got an album of singles potentially.
Do you guys have any? Are there any questions while we're on this particular song? Has anyone got a question you want to ask the band surrounding Natural Disaster? If not, we will go into the next song. I guess. Have you got anything written down, Jay?
I haven't looked at the questions yet. I was going to wait till the end and then just do a Q&A. I thought we'd
Oh,
listen
okay.
to the songs, have a little bit of a chat about the song, and then we can move into a bit of a Q&A at the end.
Just a quick mention then while we're here, because that end section of Natural Disaster is very choral based. And for anyone that doesn't know, when we were in the studio, we didn't just go in by ourselves. There were other people around us helping us out. So we had a producer called Peter Miles. And I also worked with a vocal engineer / vocal co-producer with me. And her name's Kat Marsh. And she is an amazing singer in her own right. And she has a project called Cestra. And everyone should go check it out. And we should probably get a link for that at some point, put it in, because she is a
That's great.
mind-blowing singer. And it was her first time actually being involved in a vocal producer capacity. And it was my first time actually working with a vocal producer myself. So it was a learning curve for both of us. But the cool thing is about this relationship that we had is that we sound very alike. There are some tones and in certain pitches where it's hard to discern which one of us is singing, and we definitely use that to our advantage. And all that choir section that you can hear building up, we recorded that together. So all the choir elements and all the harmonies throughout the album are literally just me and Kat together. For the most part, I think there's a lot where it is my voice layered, but whenever you hear something probably fantastic happening, it's
The
Kat's
end of
influence on
ND,
that,
for
I think.
example. You can
The
hear
end
the
of
choir.
ND,
I remember
exactly.
being in the studio for that happening, and you guys, there being a couple of microphones, and you just changing position in the room to create the
Michael
choir.
Jackson style.
Insane.
Exactly
It
how
was so cool.
It's
And then
totally how he used to do it.
it all
Brilliant.
comes together, and it's bloody brilliant. That was. Cyan's given us $20. Thank you very much. Evan's given us
Your
10 as well.
favourite-
Can't wait to see us in
Favourite
Chicago.
song coming up, Jay.
I don't mind.
Oh
it now.
yeah, everyone, Jay's favorite song.
It's not. And Anonymous gave us a $5 as well. So amazing. Thank you
The
guys very
Anonymous.
much.
Thank
The Anonymous, yeah, gave us a $5.
Christ.
We had a couple more subs as well.
I think a lot of people know that Messenger is my least favorite track on Polaris. This is Jay's least favorite track, and everybody else loves it.
I basically didn't rehearse this one going into the studio because I was going to convince you all that it shouldn't be on the record. But I
you
like it
lost.
now. I did lose. I lost
You
the
love
argument.
it. You
No,
love it.
I'm going to play it.
So
I think you've grown to love it.
months before we went into the studio, myself, Ackle, and Dan went to the studio for like a demo thing with Pete and Kat, and we were talking about how you're going to really hate this song. The fact that you did hate it, but it's probably going to be one of the most successful tracks on the album.
Yeah, to me,
kind of is, pal.
here's my thing, right? Like, there's something in every song, typically that is a some kind of a
totally.
challenge for me, and the challenge with this one wasn't a pattern to learn or something like that, and I've had to remove the ego, which you were talking about the other night, basically, because it hasn't proved to be much of a challenge to play, and that's basically what it is for me. It was just like
Interesting.
It's not hard, and I
Have
need.
have you grown to like it anymore then?
I'm sitting with it more and more and discovering how to enjoy it, if that makes sense. It's still not my
Such a
favourite.
politician answer.
No,
The
I
challenge
don't
is-
When we were
dislike
talking
it.
about songs to release, you actually, at one point, because it made me laugh, you actually at one point were like, "Oh, are we not releasing Echoes as a single?" And I was like,
I assumed he would because it's like the Radio 1 potential song. Like it's the one that could be accepted by people that love Nickelback. You know what I mean?
Seriously?
All you guys in chat who like this song, are you now offended? Can you take your tips
What
back
is
from
that?
Jay?
Oh my days.
Shots fired. I'm just saying, it's the simplest song. It's the most
It's
accessible
literally got
I
song.
like
always
a
thought-
9 Inch Nails rip in it.
I know.
It actually had a different chorus in it.
Oh,
I get
God.
really precious about my choruses, right? And Jay was like, "Oh, yeah, it's just not." I was like, "You know what? I actually removed my own ego from that situation, and I deleted the old chorus and came up with a new one." And then I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is really good now." And Akka was like, "Yeah, that sounds great. That's all right."
That's right.
And then you still didn't like it. I'm like, "What is it that you don't like about the song? Like, what is it?"
I just didn't enjoy it.
you just
it
you kept
hits
saying
you.
it sounded like Three Blind Mice.
It did, yeah. I was like, we're not keeping the Three Blind Mice song. Like, it was. I don't know. Everyone's mad at me now because I'm telling the truth in chat.
No, we're not mad.
Nah,
No,
that's
not
all
you guys. The
right.
chat's like
Honestly.
Banjay. I'm just saying it like it is. I've
I
had
think
to.
it has a very different tone. It has a very different tone. It's the one that stands
Yeah.
out on the album. It's very uplifting.
Yeah.
And I was quite keen on having that dynamic on the album personally. I felt that was if it was a good fit. Have a bit of euphoria.
Hmm.
Not every song has to be a goth song, I guess.
No.
No, exactly.
Anyway, play the song.
Here we go. Three Blind Mice.
When the daylight is dead and gone, the echo of a voice will come. It's a dangerous world, suffocates and burns. I would lie with you here, my friend. I would would stay with you till the end. Don't be afraid to lose control. Don't be afraid to bare your soul. But I won't survive. But you got to try. We were born to
And the song went into, Jay, is a demo. The old demo we had for this, it went into like a triplet thing, which we never used, which used to really like.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, that was amazing! I do remember that, because I remember you sending me this, and I got to the end of it, I'm like, oh, shit. Oh my God, we've got to use that. That's an album 6 thing. We've got to remember that. It was
I've already
amazing.
started to make a folder for album 6. Just I was listening to the old ideas, the reams of folders, and just making another new folder for things to not forget.
Idea.
I'm really pleased that we kept that G idea. I always liked that, which is the end section of
Finally.
this song.
Mm-hmm. That,
We had it for a long time.
I was going to say, that was around a very long time. I feel like that was
One
maybe
era.
even, one era. I think. What are you
Another
spraying
cool
at?
thing about this song, I think, just talk about it while we're here, is like the end of the second chorus, the chord structure to that. We were struggling with it for a long time because it wasn't really. I think Pete made the comment that it wasn't really hitting. There was no change, there was no dynamic at that point. And then Kat went and got a MacBook, and she was like, "Come on, we can write something new to this bit." And then we sat down and she programmed some MIDI bass, and we cherry picked out some notes, and then she started shifting them around. And then when we found something we liked, we're like, all right, just lay down the vocal. We'll lay down a new vocal. And Kat helped me to kind of like rethink what I was doing. And we went with a different approach and then sent it over to the guys, and everyone really liked it. And so that was our only input into the music. But it was a nice moment where we were like, yeah, girl, we just added to the music, man.
It worked.
Well, the whole, what did we have? So once I don't even remember what the second verse was before.
It was the same. It was just a
It
repeat.
was the same.
Is it the same thing?
And the
again?
chorus was a repeat as well. And I think Pete said it needs to do something different.
And then so Pete, I think he was just recording us without us realizing, which is why none of us remember what the hell is there, basically. And then, but I love what he did. I love how his whole approach to this album, just ripped TesseracT apart, put them back together in the shape that he believed we were at our best. And whilst it was really difficult at the time to cope with that, because we're not that flexible when it comes to things like that, it's really cool to experience where we ended up with it. Especially after like tracks like this, where it's completely, he just threw it out the window and then brought back what he knew we were, if that makes sense, from what he'd experienced of our journey.
He gave us a different perspective. He made us look at it from a different angle, for sure.
Yeah,
That
especially
section.
with that track.
James, you've always liked this song, haven't you? You've always been like, this has got potential, because you work in the industry in that respect, in terms of press and radio and stuff, and you were like, hey, we're onto something here. What were your thoughts going back?
No, it was the one that jumped out at me at first as like the obvious single, and it's one that we've not used as a single. But Tesseract likes to
Well,
do things differently.
We tried, didn't we? But we
Yeah.
won't go there.
No,
But
we
I
should.
think you came up with an interesting idea where you actually took the version and chopped it up a little bit and made a alternative version, which we were thinking of perhaps pitching to radio at some point, right?
Yeah, and there's a possibility we could still do that on the US tour, I think. Catherine was talking about it if we've got time to do it. But yeah, just slimming it down a little bit just to pull out the radio-ness, I suppose, cut out some of like the meandering but yeah, I think what's really special about this song is the second chorus, and I guess this is probably maybe the Pete input part of it. It's the way it does subtly change, like the pattern changes, but it's not obvious. Like in fact, I think the first time I listened to it as a whole, I didn't even notice it. Like you could tell there was something interesting going on, but you don't really notice what's different until you actually sort of break it down. I think it's a really clever song in that it sounds super simple,
surprising,
but
isn't it?
there's there's a lot of interesting things that go on underneath it that sort of make it a little bit more unique than your average pop song. But that might also be why it might not work as a radio single, because it might confuse people, and I think we're maybe slightly calibrated to enjoy things that are a bit weird. I don't know, but I guess you've got to try
Someone in the
things.
chat mentioned it sounded a little bit like 30 Seconds to Mars, which is funny in a way, but
Happy with that.
it's when we went into the studio, part of the process for me getting to know Kat and also Pete was they wanted me to produce a playlist of music that I liked and kind of like the angles that I wanted to go down with what I was doing. And actually the first 30 Seconds to Mars album, which I believe is the self-titled one, is actually one of my favorite albums. I have a lot of favorite albums, and so I've always liked that approach. So yeah, it's nice that you say that, actually, because maybe somewhere deep down that was coming out a little bit, which is nice.
They also have an album called This Is War, don't they?
They do.
We're not
Oh
copying
God, they
them.
do. Yeah. Wow.
We're not copying them.
mental.
The new stuff, though. I mean, I
different.
get that people want to do new things and adapt to the world and what people are listening to. I don't think we'll ever go down that route, but I sometimes get quite disappointed when bands start out with a really unique sound that's really impactful, and then they change it over the course of their career to something that it was a million miles away where they started. And so I get that some people like one. I get that some people like, Altered State, Polaris, and Sonder. And I think every Tesseract album has something a little bit different to offer. And I think that's just through the nature of experimentation and us trying to find ourselves. And I think we all agree that this album feels like a rejuvenation of the band. It feels like we've come into our own. We've found our sound. I know it sounds a bit odd, like 5 albums in for a band to find their sound. And I'm sure it might change and adapt again still in the future. But at this moment, I personally feel like this is what it was always meant to be. It's a huge sound, intricate songs, but it's approachable.
We've been able to take its
opinion,
stages past any of the other records. To be able to get it out of home studios and into a studio and be there for a good amount of time. We've never been able to do that, and that was the process that's made this so much bigger than anything else we've done, I think, for me at least.
I mean, already, like Morris is saying, it's got a sense of maturity, and Dutiful's quoting the lyric "older and wiser" from Sacrifice, which is the absolute conclusion to the album. And for me, the concept, which Moss I'll probably talk about later, and we'll talk about it together as a group, but the album closer is really the end of the journey, or the beginning of the journey, depending on what way you look at it. And for me, this album does demonstrate a lot of maturity, and the majority of us are 40 and above now. And I think we always obviously not Amos isn't in that small number.
He's 9.
But we do have those conversations about what's the longevity of the band, where's it going to go? You never quite know. Could this be our last album? Blah 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 blah. Well, we actually went into the studio with the mindset that this has to be we have to treat it like our final album. Have to treat it like we're leaving a mark. This is the legacy for me and my children, and for, the culmination of everything that we've done as a band. This was meant to be a statement, and I think we achieved it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Really, really am.
But I don't think it's going to be the last album.
Next!
You're going with the concept. Oh, they treat it like it's the last album because you don't know what's going to happen. But we're not saying treat it like the last album because we're about to stop. Imagine that. We just decide right now.
It's the mindset. It's the mindset to make it an important album. That's literally it. We wanted to make it important.
If we all stop doing this now, we're all fucked because we're qualified for nothing.
Got that back up.
You know what? Saying this though, this is a really morbid thing to say. But if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I'll be happy knowing that I left this behind because it's everything I've worked towards. This is my favourite.
I'll be pretty gutted to be honest, mate.
You won't even care. You wouldn't even care. You'd be like, thank God for that. Get Ash back.
Hey, I was waiting for that.
Well, guess what? I don't catch buses. So
Okay.
there's no worry there.
Why don't you catch buses, Dan? Are they beneath you?
Because I try not to. I only catch Ubers and trains.
Uber posh, Uber comfort.
I'll tell you something though.
Trains.
Saying that, in a few years, I'll be able to get a free bus pass, so I'll be on it all the time.
The only buses you get on are tour buses, mate. Right.
Yeah.
We've had a bit more money. B-Mac has given us a tenner. Thank you very much. And said, will official bass tabs come out for this album at some point? Yes, is the answer to that. And Nescafe Original gave us 10 quid. I'm guessing you can say who you want to be when you tip these things because there's no way it's actually Nescafe, and that's obviously a joke.
I really hope it is.
Nescafe, sort yourself out and make good coffee, and then we'll drink you.
Nescafe.
Thank you for everyone that's donating and subbing and all that. It makes a difference to the comfort of the things we put in our mouth on tour.
Wow.
Let's hit play.
What's the next song? Is it The Grey?
The beige.
It's The Grey.
Still
It is.
we didn't do the outro
I'm doing it. I'm just going to play it from where we were.
because I interrupted it with me going digga 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 digga.
That was an amazing little riff, though. I really want to
Don't want to do-
rejuvenate that.
I'll rejuvenate you.
Sludge.
Thanks, mate. On tour, please. I'm
I
pretty
was
sure
listening
that.
to the multiple versions of Sludge we have. It sounds so different.
What was the
on
full
every
name of Sludge, Dan?
Sludge?
Two voices lost inside the ricochet, inwards deceiving one another.
Anastasia Wood with the tenor. Thanks very much.
This song is a lot of fun to sing. I don't know about you guys playing it, but it's really good.
Settle down and start your work.
It's a fun one. It's really fun. I enjoy it a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
I didn't know brevity was a word until that song.
I'm sorry, you what?
Didn't know brevity was a word until that song.
Wow, I missed.
I thought you were
that
singing
massively.
gravity for the longer in the demos. I
Do
thought
you
it was
know-
gravity.
When I'm writing lyrics for songs, I always push myself to try and put in a word that I didn't necessarily know the meaning of before, an interesting word that you wouldn't expect.
I remember
Like-
my first thesaurus.
Yes.
What are some of the words in this that you didn't know before doing this?
I kind of knew exacerbate.
Yeah.
But that's in War of Being. I'll tell you more as we go through because I'm a bit.
Lost.
Don't know, can't think at the minute. But yeah, like brevity. I kind of knew what brevity meant as well. But no, there's a few scattered around, some interesting words. But exacerbate, you wouldn't expect to sing that. It's a bit of a weird one.
I'd expect it, mate.
Someone mentioned they just said only song in the game. Yes, it is. Yeah. Just so you know, if anyone doesn't know, we actually created a computer game, which is a VR and desktop experience to actually coincide with the release of this single. And you can hear this song in that particular version, which is the early access version, which is essentially a proof of concept. I won't go down a rabbit hole and talk about it, but it is up on Steam at the minute, and we're actually about to launch a Kickstarter campaign to develop the full game, which is going to include the full album and have a much more in-depth concept to it and gameplay, etc. But yeah, we designed Amos actually went into our Unreal 5 session and exported sequences throughout our current build and made them look all nice and cinematic and used it as the visualizer to the video. And I think it went down really well. Really interesting way of doing things. Not many people have done it before. We're all for pushing boundaries and doing different things, and it was definitely a way of kind of like branching into a new medium for consuming music, all that kind of jazz. So just want to touch on that very quickly. But yeah, as a song, I think it's one of the catchiest songs. Someone mentioned about the chorus. It's an interesting thing to use the verse chorus, so it's the verse vocal as the chorus.
Classic 80s pop trick, that.
Yeah.
Maybe I
tried
liked
it and it stuck.
I think I might have liked it because it was one of the first like proper complete songs that we had. I think for the album, like proper fledged out. Like, oh, we've got a song, sweet. Better do the rest of the album. Huh?
Didn't you say it came together pretty quick as well?
Yeah, about half an hour. But then I did spend about
dumb.
a fucking week or a lot of days just on a verse trying to get the verse right.
That verse is, I mean, it's fine now, but at the beginning it was.
Remember at
not
Middle Farm?
Cool. Yeah, exactly. It's like
that scene from Spinal Tap. It's like, I can't fucking play the fucking part.
I remember you losing your shit. I don't know if it was over this, but I've never seen that version of you like slamming the table. You dickhead. Like, that was so funny. Oh my god, that was so good.
It's all right, man. We were both there. You know, you were doing it on your own, and I had Pete sort of going, I'm a bit bored now.
Oh, really?
That was one that, like, I feel like we had demo-itis with that one, where the demo of it, you're trying to like get it better than that, which you are all the time. But the demo was very difficult to beat for that one. It took quite a bit of work.
That was the last time I used Logic. That was the first song that I actually went to town and edited the vocals as if it was a finished song, even on a demo, just to see how it sounded. And I think that really helped Ackle to enjoy it as well, because everything was just polished and sounded nice. Yeah. But then that's the same point at which I let go of everything, and I joined the Cubase team to join with you, Ackle, didn't I? Because we thought it would be an easier process if we could both work in the same door. It was a good move, actually. End of story. Next one.
See you in a bit, mate.
Bye.
All right. We've got The End of the Grey into Legion.
Oh, this is the worst song on the album, hands down.
It's terrible. This is the best for me. I absolutely love this one.
This is actually so if you don't know, Legion thematically is the introduction to the concept. It is not the introduction to the album, but it is to the concept.
That's what we needed. Whale song. Damn.
This one is still
Sorry.
difficult to play, I will tell you that much. Dan,
Do
where
that
have you
live.
gone?
I'm changing.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Wardrobe change.
Oh, nice, well done. Is that the TesseracT t-shirt?
It is, yeah.
I like that. It's a good quality t-shirt, that.
I love what Pete did with that synth.
Oh, Jay, sorry, can you just pause it for a sec? Because people need to know this. You could go straight back in after, like, give me 10 seconds. So all that kind of swelling sub-synth that you can hear throughout the album, that is deliberate, and it ties into the concept. So within the world, you have the Dark Waters, and again, I'm kind of like stealing Amos's thunder here because he's the creator of it, but they are the raw manifestation of thought and energy, and which wanted to try and represent the sound of, like, the heartbeat of the Strangeland. So whenever you hear those swells, that is the Strangeland talking to you. There's a bit of lore. Sorry, Jay, carry on. I won't interrupt again. Bye-bye.
You can interrupt all you like, mate. You're 1/5 of this band.
Love it.
Fill my eyes with blood, stare into the sun, linger just enough to blind us. I succumb. Monastery of hate swells deep and forever. Spectres rise and descend into the river. Monastery of hate swells deep and forever. Forever, forever,
– 300 viewers.
on a distant sphere.
Now at the end of the track, you're going to start to hear the Strangeland swelling again, because this is the start of the concept. So the dream, which is the craft that XNL arrive in the Strangeland on, is now crashed.
It slowly bends up the semitone over the course of like 2 minutes. Isn't it?
It's so uncomfortable the first time I heard it. Oh, am I having a stroke?
I'm also very glad I don't have to play that piano part live because it's nuts.
I'll come back in there for the next one. That flipping track, it still blows my mind that we managed to brain fart that one out.
Absolutely ridiculous, isn't it?
It really is.
I love how it came together, though. Love it.
Yeah, for sure.
So should we go from the start of like how that one came about? Because there's very few TesseracT songs that have a journey like that, where there's like
it wasn't going to make it on the album. I think
you were pushing, because I was like,
I was pushing hard for this to go on the album because it was only half a song.
It was the
And
first
then
half.
I think
wasn't
it was really good that you and Moss had that night where you just had a bit of a chill. You had a jam, and then the end section was born from that, really. And then
Yeah.
I think
So
after
we-
that, you were so excited about it. Like
Well,
you were like, guys, come check this out.
It was so random. So okay, the first up to the heavy chorus bit where Dan sounds like he's straight from hell, that existed as an old demo that went into Mirror Image. So from Sonder, it went into Mirror Image, and I was struggling to see in the studio how we could transform it into something else because it went into Mirror Image. Like there wasn't any music written, and I'm not sure who it was, but it was me and Amos in the studio and Pete, and someone said, just drum along, just play along to Mirror Image, but like do something different. So I did.
Yeah.
Mirror Image was just playing from the old demo, and I did different drums over it. And I think we must have tried a few different things. Like there's a few different movements, ways of moving behind the kit that we kind of chopped up and put into the various sections. And after we'd done that, I'm pretty sure me and you, Amos, just sat behind the piano and started.
You started replicating the line from Mirror Image, but you were doing it in a slightly different way. And then Pete was like, "Oh, it needs to have like more going on." So I sat down and I basically just expanded upon what you were doing. Then it just got a bit weird after that because we then either Kat took it at that point or we did some more and then gave it to Kat and Dan, and then like she spewed out this demo in like 10 minutes, and then we started writing to that after. So that's like there's a couple of verses in the second half, and that was when we were like doing like adding bass guitar and then fleshing out the drums a bit more, and then we kept screwing up as well. Like there's one screw up that's just perfect.
The gap,
where
the drums stop. They're thrown into the grey bit. Where I stopped because I'm like, I don't know what I'm playing. Then I was like, oh fuck, I'll just carry on playing, and it ended up being the fill in the song.
Sounds great, and it's really weird to write in that way where you're writing to vocals instead of just writing a song and then putting vocals on top. But not just, in this case it was even weirder because you're writing two vocals that are being written to another song that you then build a different song from that. So it was a really cool experience. And then obviously Ackle came in and added on top of that again and changed around the really cool lick, the meow down bow down bow, which was for some reason, there's a desire there in this album you can hear to do some carnival style chord progressions just because they work really well. Like you've got it in, I'm going to say
Burden.
Sacrifice. Did we do it again? Was it Burden?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
in a
got
subtle
that,
kind of way.
that sort of vibe where you're dropping quite a large distance for like major six down, but it just works really well. Yeah, it's
I think
crazy.
it was peak
Crazy.
efficiency because I was tracking War of Being guitars at the time, and then you came with that. I was like, oh, nice, this is good, yay! So in my head, it was just a write off that song, so I had no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, sweet, got another song, and it sounds great.
That's where having such a group of, like, everybody was involved, and that was
Hmm.
really wonderful to see. Like, it's I mentioned it in a Facebook post the other day. It was like the fact that this song is called Legion is perhaps very fitting, even though there was no intention behind it. It's the most collaborative effort between everybody working on the album, and it's absolutely fantastic.
It makes me want to get back in kind of specifically that room. I mean, it could happen anywhere else, I suppose, but get back in that room with a similar kind of vibe and just write around the existing demos, the stuff that's still in the pool as possibilities, and see what comes out. Because even though
Such an obvious thing. It's an obvious thing to do.
it is
For
but
us. I mean, considering the results, I mean, if we had more time to go in with like a load of little ideas and just jam
yeah,
and see what happens, we never have the time to do that. And then look what happened. We managed to write a really great song out of nothing. So it's possible.
it really was a thin air song, wasn't it? It just plucked it.
Mm.
Crazy.
How am I going to sing that live? I got to learn it this week.
With your voice, probably.
I haven't learnt it yet. This is the hardest song to sing ever.
I can imagine. It sounds brutal.
Literally ever. Like, I have got to push myself to the absolute limits of physical ability to do this song, but I'm up for the challenge, and I know I can do it. And it's very difficult because there's so much going on. There's a lot of like full-on screams, and there isn't much chance to stop and breathe. It's all this one big section where it's like high head voice, vibrato into an immediate scream, into a mixed voice singing part, into head voice, back into a scream, and it's like, okay, but I'm gonna be all right. It's gonna be cool. I actually tried it on stream the other night with no BVs, and I just had like a little jam to it, and I kind of got 3/4 of the way through, and I was sat down at the time, and it felt like, all right, yeah, with some practice, this will be fine. What about you guys? What about you, James? How are you feeling about playing this live?
This surprisingly actually is, the parts are quite in principle quite easy, but out of all the new stuff, I'm actually finding this one kind of the toughest. I think maybe it's the dynamics of it. Yeah. Also, the clean parts are absolutely impossible to play without a click, because I don't know what's going on. I tried to play along just then,
The
I didn't know
intro.
what the hell was going on. Yeah, the intro.
Yeah, we've got a cue that goes 1, 2, do, 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 do. When the hell does the next one come? I don't know. 1, 2, do.
There we go.
do, do, do. There we go.
You guys can't count that.
Imagine if the click goes down. Oh dear.
Well, then the whole show goes down.
Or it goes jazz.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Oh god, Jazz Odyssey.
I don't think we do jazz very well.
I'm certain we don't do jazz very well.
Or perfectly, depending on trio.
You guys in chat have any other questions about Legion before we move on?
Just say a couple of thanks, because we had some things. A couple of subs, Derek and Amarvich, and also Matt Hafe, who raided us with 130 people, so thank you for that, Matt.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's very
Sludge.
cool.
Yeah. What else about Legion? Do you want to talk about the video or anything?
Yeah, Moss, you tell us about the video.
Cool fun, wasn't it? And I mean, that again is an example of working as part of a team and everybody being allowed to do the best that they do.
Sorry,
this
one
was-
sec. We just got
Wow.
100 tier 1 gift subs.
Wow.
Hyper Hill.
Still
That's
don't have a
amazing.
clue what any of that means. So
That's
Oh god damn.
That-
Does that mean
ridiculous.
people are subscribing to this channel that we won't use for another year?
Some Hyper Hill's just gifted 100 subs.
wow.
That's
We're
insane.
going to be streaming on this channel on tour, actually. I don't think we'll be doing live shows, but we will be popping on and showing you what's going on backstage and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
shush, James, shush.
Yeah, Twitch. I mean, I don't-
Bloody hell. Hyper Hill, thank you. Sorry, Mosh, you can carry on.
Thank you very much.
Ah,
Thank
no.
you very much.
Thank you very much, Hyper Hill. Cool. Yeah, so when we were filming Portals, myself and Rich were trying to recreate the set of Alien at all points. That was kind of our vibe, you know, that we were thinking, okay, well, Ridley Scott created this fantastic vibe that was something that we really loved. And it felt that this would be a really cool thing to reproduce this. So we had to do it we had like nothing in terms of budget and nothing in terms of time to do this, but I basically just said to Rich, look, can you replicate this story? And then I sent him an image from 2001 Space Odyssey and said, look, you know, this, I'm thinking this, it's just real close, it's just Dan that is going to be portraying the part of X as he crashes into the Strangeland. And then there was a back and forth between us where Rich sent back the beginning of Alien that so few people remember. It's really funny. It's like they've just forgotten that this really cool sequence happens where they're walking through the Nostromo and you see this cool ship before all of the horrible things happen. And then we were just going back and forth and exploring this, and it immediately became apparent that we could do this in the time that we had. And fortunately, Rich is really into creating practical sets, and it's something that he's really passionate about. And fortunately, his brother-in-law was available to do some work on like the elements of the helmet. So his brother-in-law works on movies for like Hollywood movies like Marvel, Star Wars, things like that. So yeah, we ended up with top-tier people working on this. It was crazy. It was a good fun afternoon. And wow. The original idea was just to have one shot, but we couldn't quite come to an agreement on whether to have it as the tight shot that I wanted, because I really enjoyed the up-close vibe, or the wide shot that Rich wanted because he'd spent 2 weeks building this incredible set. So we managed to, I think in the end there's only like 3 takes that we are bringing from, but they were all one take. All the choreography, all the lights, all the special effects going off, all the projection, because we had a screen above Dan and a projector hitting the visor as well with different lights on, and that was all timed and all perfectly choreographed, and it's wonderful to see. Really cool fun.
Yeah,
it looked amazing, and me and Ackle didn't get to see it until like the album launch thing, the listening event, which made that even more special. Like
nice.
Really stoked to see that, and it was the moment where it starts shaking with the red lights. I remember laughing out loud because it was just like, oh yes, that's so good. Like it worked so well to have come together in such a short amount of time.
Was it hard to have the projector in my eyes? Okay, let me explain what was going on. So I just got back off holiday the day before, and I'd picked something up. I got a virus, so I was already in a fever. And I was like, okay, I've got to pull this out of the bag because we've only got one shot to make this happen. And I was like so hell-bent on making it happen. Got into this RAF suit, really hot and sweaty, then had to have the helmet on as well. And it was incredibly claustrophobic, and we kind of like sat on the floor with this like a little wooden structure with an Apple Mac keyboard on for me to something just as a prop to play with. You can't see it in the shot. And then there was like an air vent in the back of the helmet that was pumping in clean air so it wouldn't get misted up. And then we went through these takes all the way through, each one non-stop from start to finish, and we had to synchronize, like Moss said, all the lights, all the smoke being applied at certain parts, all the different extra little bits that were going on. Like we had some people that were shining torches to get flares in the camera that were coming off the helmet, I think, across the camera. And I had Kat on the floor. Kat Marsh was there, who obviously the vocal producer, and she was like lip syncing to me and like guiding me what to do, like look over this way, look over that way. And while I'm doing this, I've got to sing the lyrics, I've got to lip sync it, I've got to almost method act the whole way through from start to finish so it progresses. And then I've also got to simulate my own rocking in the chair while I'm doing it. So I've got all these different things going on. I've got to balance it, so it's like progressing through the video. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I have so much admiration for actual, for actors in general, people that are on TV and film, because it's an incredibly difficult thing to focus on, to do multiple things and act at the same time. And I'm not an actor, but I was really keen on making sure that this video was portrayed in the right way. Like, we started out the first few runs and it all looked overly dramatic. It wasn't the right vibe. And then slowly over the course of 4 or 5 hours, we started to rein in the performance and nail all the little details down. And like Moss said, the whole idea was actually to try and get one consistent take with one camera angle, which we managed to get. But actually watching it compared to the different shots, like the close-up shots and the ones from the sides, they just looked so incredibly high detailed and cinematic that I know me and Moss straight away when we saw them were like, that actually looks like it's straight out of a movie. Rich has done an incredible job capturing that level of detail. It'd be a shame to not use them. So we ended up, compiling different cuts together. But even that being said, there's a very few cuts, or should I say few angles in the whole video. Like 3 angles? 3?
I think so, yeah.
No, 4. 1 left and right, 1 close and 1 far away.
Yeah, I'm not sure we used the right angle, but that's all we had available for sure. But they're all complete takes, because that was the initial idea, wasn't it? To do like a Radiohead style, no surprises thing where it's just locked on the face. But it just, things don't always turn out the way you plan them, but they work out.
But it did.
Brilliantly. Yeah.
And it was
really
great
cool
to have, we obviously had added projections that were being cast on the helmet, and also above me was a big TV screen where I could see this kind of like planet rotating, and I kind of had to react to that as well, as if I was almost looking out of the control room of a spaceship into space and trying to simulate this idea that I've woken up from stasis. I'm trying to gain control of the dream, even though I don't know where I am, but I seem to know what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden you experience this malfunction, you lose all the power. And then I see myself hurtling towards this planet. And then it's like you're breaking through the atmosphere and there's fire everywhere going over the top of the spaceship. And there's like this big plunge into this dark water of the Strangeland. And it's just, even though it was kind of like done in Richard's living room, it was very easy to immerse yourself in the idea, because it was how good the backdrop looked. And all the added details that they'd gone in and created were just fantastic.
Yeah,
I think I've waffled quite enough. I need the toilet. See you in a bit.
He's off. I was going to say thanks to a couple of people, because it kicked off then. We had 163 total gift subs, which is insane. IQ,
thank you so much.
Came in with the 50, which is huge. Thank you for that. Personal Pessimist with the 10 as well. Zawinatu subbed, and Pandaloo give us $20. We got more coffee coming in, boys. John Marillion fan with the sub as well, and again Hyperhill with the 100. Absolute mentalist. Thank you very much. I think there's messages with a couple of these as well. Let's see. It doesn't let me see that on my phone. Oh, sorry, I can't see, guys. But yeah, thank you for that. That's insane. We got more music coming into your ears right now. Here we go.
JJ.
You said we were everything we needed to be. We together, and we spoke tender words. All we needed was to breathe. You touched a part of me. You dreamed the love. You said too much. Did you ever think a woman could mean this much? It's true, it's true that I hoped for the resolution. Did you ever think somebody could give this much? And so I'll bleed for you. Did you ever see the path you left for me? So I attacked you until another war began. So I attacked you till my vision turned to gold. My silence killed it all. No faith in love for me. Still so many things to say, lost in time forever. Lost a little time to find the gateway to each other. Still so many things to say, but all those could ever change. The ground beneath us caving in. Nothing will remain. Still so many things to say. Still no faith.
It's the
How
only-
many songs does that bendy guitar appear in?
Wow, wow.
Well,
Yeah.
remember, there's a wonderfully reversed engineered theme that you basically do that in so many of the songs, but it works really well. And I'm pretty sure out of the 9 songs, it's in 5 of them. But
Yeah.
it's fantastic because it's always at the right moment doing the right thing to introduce the character of Fear, basically. It's just absolutely wonderful, especially that particular one. I remember, was that the one where you were doing it and we were fucking around constantly?
No, that was Natural
Like-
Disaster.
Right, right.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. But it's I absolutely like if that's the motif of this album, that's
Bendy
what
Bendy.
threads all the songs through, and it's basically a cat chorus, and it's just it works so well. And the thing is, I know that people will be like, that's why I feel like there's something threading everything through, because it's in at least half the album, maybe more. But it's perfect. I love it.
For me, that bendy guitar represents fear, and the swell of the pads throughout the songs represents the dark water. So there's like you can cherry pick can see where we went with how we tried to introduce the concept into the music. So everything's got its purpose, and I think that's probably the first time we've ever gone to that depth of trying to mold the music alongside a concept to really bring it all to life. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, we've only really done it once before with Concealing Fate. You know, part 1 and part 6 are the same thing, but transposition. You know, there's transposed. And I'd love to do more stuff like that, where you're bringing in like classical music themes and ideas. And I think this was the right album to have things like that in. It's great, especially in Tender. It's fantastic.
It's the only track on the album.
Sorry,
This is
Somni. Thank you for the we said a £60 donation.
$69.42 to be specific.
Nice.
Wow.
Thank you very much. That's a good number. That was the only track on the record that we changed the snare for. Actually, no. This is completely pointless, but drummers might be interested. That was the wooden snare on that track, the DW. ND was the brass and everything else was the stainless steel. But I remember tracking with that one for that song because it was, I don't know, it just felt nicer for some reason. Then I was like, no, go back to the stainless steel. So I did.
I tried to do takes on an old Fender flat wound bass where the strings had not been changed for 40 years or something stupid like that. But Akka was like, nah, mate.
No,
What are you doing?
Come on, it sounded so cool. And he's like, nah, man.
No. There's only so much vintage I can take.
It was proper vintage.
I remember during the mastering when we all got together at Ackles, this was the one song on the album where we actually stripped away the vocal effects because they were just masking so many details in the guitars.
Yeah.
But this
I
is like a
remember there was
really
a lot going on.
dry vocal performance, and I think that's why I was really not feeling this song anyway. I don't think I liked it. I didn't feel like it was the strongest song on the album, and then when we got rid of the vocal effects, I could see that it was making a difference, but it kind of like felt again like we'd somehow weakened it in some way. But over time, I've come to really enjoy how raw it sounds. It's a good, powerful song that slowly builds. It takes a while to get there. But there is a nice journey involved in it. I think it does progress well.
Skip to the end.
Was this one? I'm just trying to remember which songs were I just played them all the way through because there were some songs where I did it like that, and then other songs where we did like chunks. And this might have been one of those that I just did like 5 run-throughs, and then we just went that bit. Because I remember knocking this out in like a morning and being like, "Oh yeah, that was easy." And also,
sorry.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, what song was it where you got back to the States and you were like, "That's not that. What? This is different. That's not what I okayed."
Is that Legion?
Legion, yeah. So the version that I've been listening to, so I'd been given like a chunk. The album is just one giant file, one giant running file that was like the production file, and I was really used to Legion from that. And then when I got the final one, I'm like, that isn't the drums that I've been listening to for that song that I'm used to.
Yeah.
It's fine, I'm used to the new one now, but I couldn't even remember tracking it that way, to be honest. But we must have put down a load of different ideas, and those ones just got stitched in. I can't remember. It worked out nice. It's kind of perfect the way it's worked out, but I can't.
I mean, that would have been Pete editing that. It would, when he's compiling it. Well, Pete or Izzy, maybe he. But I don't think he would have compiled it without Pete's say so.
It works. It works totally fine. I just the way that I heard it, and I was so used to hearing it, isn't the version that was released. I'm like, oh man! But anyway.
Somebody asked, why did we cut so much out of the song?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did cut a huge amount out of Tender.
It did feel like it was just kind of like, and we're repeating the same bit again. Okay, it's probably time to wrap it up. And
that
Pete
bit though, the bit that was cut out was one of the bastards for me to learn. There's certain moments that are patterns that are new to physics. Like it's just completely new. My body can't do it. I have to spend ages with it, and the chunk that was not repeated in this, it's played once and it's like 10 seconds. I'm like, you bastards, you're cutting that bit out that I've been learning. What? But for the song, it totally works. And again, removing
Pete,
the ego, like it's not about
Exactly
me
that, yeah.
being pleased
we did
playing
a
this
lot of
hard
that.
thing over and over and over again. It's about it sounding good, like for people listening.
Pete was quite on it though, and he had a good perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it did help us to kind of maybe remove unnecessary parts and try and get to the point a little bit quicker. I mean, for example, I think War of Being, I'm pretty sure we shaved a good 2 minutes off of that song.
There's a
Yeah.
massive repeat in there, which was just like
Exactly.
What,
Yeah.
why is this here? It was like a 13-minute song, but it was just a pointless repeat.
Pete just went
Unnecessary.
cut.
Yeah.
Bye.
He did.
But I remember we put that in quite towards the end of the demo process, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
unnecessary.
That's like what he did in Echoes, though. There was that other riff that didn't make it. The ba-da-ba-da-ba-bow, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-bow. And he took
Typewriter riff.
yeah, and he was like slice by, and I'm like,
That's bad.
okay.
That's
Yeah,
the
he's a
role
good
of the
slicer.
producer,
Slice,
we're not
slice,
used to
goodbye,
that.
Three Blind Mice.
Yeah, well, he's got a good bird's eye view of it, though, hasn't he? Because he knows what he's doing, and I think that was one of the things that was difficult for us to maybe let go of in the studio. 'Cause
I think the most difficult thing that Pete presented to me was me and Kat were recording the end section to Legion, and we were like really happy with what we did. And he came in, he listened to it, and he was like, didn't react, didn't show any emotion at all. And then after we'd finished, he just went, "Yeah, it's cool, but what I think you need to do is go and stand on the hill for 2 days and learn the song, and just learn it in one go, and come back again and try it again." And I'm like, all right, Pete, yeah, cool. And then when he left, I was like, "Kat, sit down, record, go."
Yeah.
And we just sat down and I went, "This is happening now."
But
Boom.
that maybe he still
John.
gave you that prompt though to get to that.
Exactly that, yeah.
It's
yeah,
still
he
a
did.
prompt
He
in
made
itself.
me kind of like level it up a little bit more, you know. But
It's
I was
just
like
like,
so
it's a bit
conscious
shit
that
now.
we've got like
Yeah.
I've only got 4 weeks here, and we're like 2.5 weeks in, and there's like another 5 songs to finish, and I can see the progression, and I know how long it's going to take to get to the end. We're going to be filling every day until the very end. Like, I haven't got 2 days to go and stand on a hill and sing it to the tune.
You could have made time, mate. They'd have loved it.
Got to crack on and get the job done.
Well, you nailed it. Next song.
Thanks. Move on.
Next.
Next song is Wob. Wob.
Sweet. Tea break.
Oh, not this one.
Do you want me to get the... Actually, no, I can't do that. I was going to try
Can
and
you
get
play
the
the
video.
radio edit that lasts for 2 minutes?
No. I was going to try and get the video up, but if I do all that on the screen, it's going to make a mess. Let's just play the song. People want to see our beautiful faces anyway. That's what they're tuning in. Yeah, meow, meow. Actually, this is a good opportunity to have a wee break for me as well, so...
No,
Back in a second.
Oh, no.
Hardest bit to play for Ackle.
dream of flowing like sun-crystal and double knots glistening as you read.
Jay, this line is actually Three Blind Mice.
Yeah, I suppose. That little noise in the background. I mentioned to you guys, I wanted to capture the sound of my ducks running on the hardwood floor here and send that in and chop it up and use it for that bit. That's what I wanted to do and I never did. It would have been so good.
Got some duck feet and sirens.
Yeah, duck feet next time. Album 6, duck feet.
Oh god.
That would have been so good. We got a duck on the album though.
The words that I whispered when it all began, did they shine a light on you? You don't understand. To dream of flowing like sun crystal stormy, listening as you
Before I forget, for the people watching, when you see this on screen next, the drums in the background are being played with this. And you'll see it on the documentary, if you don't believe me.
Lies.
They ain't. Did you not remember that? Playing a drum with that? Do you not remember? Moss remembers. Duck tone. You were there. You were filming me. Don't you? That's where we get
As
the
you were
tone from.
smashing a duck into the wall.
Yeah. we used it on a floor tom for like a big one of the orchestral drum moments in the background. I think it's in the next song. In fact, the
Couple of shout outs then. I want to say
Dan's
shout
like,
out
"Shut
to
up,
Cam
Jay."
Burns for every time getting the emotes going with the headbang. Perfect timing. Shout out to Drew Fortune, who I've just seen an Instagram story, and he is learning to play the songs whilst watching the stream as well. Go follow his channel. He's done some really nice reviews of the songs in the album so far. Stream it.
Nice.
And yeah, that's a great song to play live. Actually, I was a bit daunted by the prospect of doing that one, but
Do you remember the
it's
first time you played it
surprisingly
live?
Comfortable. Yeah, that was stressful, wasn't it?
Should we tell a little bit of that story? Because that's for
You can
the
tell the
first
story, you can tell
time
the story.
playing that song live.
No
We
mix.
basically didn't have a mix going on stage. It was Transylvania, Moss. We're playing this festival called Art Mania, and in rehearsal, I don't know which piece of the gear it is, but you guys will probably know something that we plug into that is
Big
essential.
bucks.
Mix rack.
Mix rack, essential piece of gear without which there is not a show, was like making odd noises, and anyway, it carried on working, so we carried on. Got to Art Mania Festival, plugged everything in, weren't working. So we then spent the next God knows how long pissing around trying to get it to work, and it didn't work. And this means that we can't hear anything, and the front of house is getting absolutely nothing. So we quickly have to change gear at the 11th hour and use the in-house rig and text our sound engineer what we would like to hear during the show in our in-ear monitors, instead of actually having any time getting a mix. So we kind of went on stage kind of blind.
In short, it was the most stressful
It really
time
was.
ever, and we were literally still trying to get some kind of an in-ear mix for everybody up until seconds before we were
Yeah.
about to go on stage.
So we're just high
Gotta
stress,
Stuck up and do it.
super high stress, and then just hit the stage in a terrible mood because you're trying to be as professional as you can, and you don't want that to show that you're in anything other than a brilliant mood. And we play that song for the first time under those conditions. So at least
I don't know how we did it, to be honest.
No, I
mean,
don't.
He went down all right, didn't it? I mean,
it was
I thought it
fine,
went okay.
but I don't know how.
Videos back from that show, it looked really good. It sounded good. Like Tim, the front of house, did a great job considering what he was up against.
You would have never have known.
You wouldn't have known, but we were battling through that one, and to play that song for the first time. We have a what?
Yeah, to play that song,
Internal
that
war of
particular
being.
song, a new song of that length for the first time.
Under those conditions.
Very stressful.
Yeah.
Very stressful.
But at least
Well, I
we've been
think
through
we
the
all
worst
can-
case
and
scenario.
also, Moss fell off the stage and nearly broke his back.
Oh fuck!
And that. How's your
What
back,
about
by
that?
the way?
It's fine, man. I heal quickly.
Wolverine.
But yeah, it didn't look pretty, and for a couple of days it wasn't pretty, but then it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the story of the first time we played it. But
Yeah.
But then all was good after that because we got to see Gavin Harrison.
And take a photo with him as well, didn't we? We got a
We did,
photo.
oh god, we didn't
Good
actually
one.
get to see him. That's the
didn't, no.
joke. It was illegal to do that apparently. So
In Romania,
Breaking the
it is
law,
illegal.
breaking the law.
yeah. So, but we will be playing that on the upcoming tour, of course, because it's the big one. It's a lot of fun to play. There's a lot of
the grit your teeth and bear it bit. I kind of want to get the message out to the people that are coming to the show. That's your opportunity to get involved. We want a bit of crowd participation, all that. Crowd participation. at that point.
Put your teeth in.
Sorry, one sec. Crowd participation.
oh man.
Do you know? I always remember my grandma losing the teeth. That was amazing. Put them back in. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
man.
just metal when we're on stage. What?
Oh, this is what people tune in for.
Any
Anyway.
questions about that track?
Any questions?
Yeah.
about
Any questions?
There might be in the Q&A, to be honest. I haven't opened that up yet.
I see.
What?
We're teething.
More of teething. Oh god. So the next song, I mean, that's people know that song. They've seen the video. The video is a whole different conversation. I mean, we're so stoked with that video. It took nearly 2 years in the making from the first point of discussion to the end. Multiple
that's true.
teams working on it. Crazy! I can't believe we managed to pull that out of the bag. To be honest, it's a very grand video for us. Great video to come back with after 5 years, though. I have to say, like, I was really stoked for people to see that. Okay, cool. Great story. Next song.
I love those moments. The pauses. I was sitting on that one, just milking the pause to see until someone broke.
Amos, why the samurais? Mike's got a question for you. Apparently.
So the original idea for fear was that fear is represented through the ages by the most dehumanized elements. So these particular samurais are wearing oni masks, which are supposed to be, demonic. They're supposed to scare their the
Opponents. Enemy.
opponents, the word. Yeah, and also to show that they were powerful and fearless. But in other parts of the story, there's also a Minotaur, for example, so that's a different age of fear. And then I'd also decided to bring in World War One soldiers coming out of the trenches, and they were another version of fear. So this was just like an early exploration of the concept and the idea of what dehumanizing characters we could create from this idea. So that's why the samurais fighting each other. they're basically two parts of yourself locked in battle.
And the robot lady, as someone just put it, is the scribe.
She's like that because we couldn't afford to make her fully human. Because it was just really difficult to. That was the original idea. Was like, okay, well, let's use things like metahumans with Unreal Engine. But in the end, the directors went for a different look, and we were okay with that, because it was about what is the character portraying within this sphere of the video, rather than it having to be fully connected to the story. I mean, it still is representing the scribe, but her look is definitely not what I had imagined in the first place, because the scribe is a development of the character L, and that doesn't make so much sense. But within the world of the promo, which you have to treat as on its own, because people might not see more than that, it was the best thing that we could do in that scenario. It felt like it was the right thing to do there and then.
Yeah. A couple of other things came from this as well. So the statues of us were not meant to be in the computer game that we've released. It was never a plan. But when we recorded the video with Rich Oakes and we did the green screen, we did some photogrammetry of each of us, so stood in like a T-pose or whatever. And we took like 500 photos from different angles of all of us and created these 3D assets that ended up being in the video. And when we were making the computer game, we were like, why don't we put us in the game? And so we pulled those assets from Unreal 5 into our Unreal 5 project and added them into the game as a nice little Easter egg. You can meet the band and discover a little bit about them and whatnot. But what I was about to say. I've got to go back to you saying salmonize nearly cracked me up so many times.
Salmonize.
Salmonize. No, but the other thing was the video, the CGI was actually all the Unreal 5 environments and the samurai fight. We actually took all of those assets, well, most of them, and brought them into the War of Being computer game. So that's another really interesting angle, that if you enjoyed the video, you can actually stand in VR in the same environment that you're watching in the video, and absorb the music while you're in that environment, which is another interesting twist to the computer game. So I thought that was a really good thing.
Oh my god, it's so funny. People must be thinking, what the fuck are these guys like? And then they get to see what we're actually like when things like that happen. I love it.
More salmon eyes. Bring on the salmon eyes.
It's going to be a merch item.
Salmon eyes on the rider. What do you guys want on the rider? Salmon eyes, please. Right.
Yeah.
Next song has got music in it.
Duck feet.
Oh yeah. I was doing this on a tom with my duck. There you go.
I am waiting for the sirens to echo. Try to close my eyes and stay asleep. Now I can't afford to be so reluctant, and we can't afford this life. with our eyes open. Take my hand, dream of a better land. Nothing between us but the sea. Won't you come now, send to me? Take a chance, I'll light the way. Leave the grief in yesterday. Speak the words you got to say. Your voice is enough to give me strength and love. Will you run away, or will you fight and stay? Face our fate together. Or will you start again? Start
We
I
like.
really
hard.
like that song.
It's really difficult, that last bit. That second half. Don't like it. Why did I do that?
It's mental, isn't it? It's like, where's the beat? Who
know.
cares?
There's a lot of starting and stopping.
Pushing and pulling. Yeah.
Occasional
Do
sevens.
you know when we wrote Beneath My Skin and Mirror Image, something that me and Akko did during Sonder was we wrote music to video. And we had like in our Cubase session, you can bring in videos, and you can actually record while you're watching a video.
I remember
We tried that
this.
approach and it worked out really well. Well, during the same kind of time, and actually during the Sonder period, I did a similar thing where I got a load of old World War One footage of like, you know, the boys going over the trenches and just seeing all these piles of bodies everywhere. And then I put that into Cubase because I found it, because it's a part of our history. Like my granddad was in the war, and I'm sure that all of us are in the Second World War, should I say. But when I was writing this song, it was to a visual prompt, and all those years ago, it was around the idea of war. And all the way through writing this, even from like the very early seed, and a lot of these vocals actually stuck from like years and years ago. The chorus, the verses, everything. I had this image of a woman and a child like shielding her from war and the things that were happening around her, and that whole chorus of like, you know, look away, turn away, walk away, run, was all meant to be and simulate that idea of like being so shocked by something and wanting to just get away from it quietly so nobody saw you. And that's the kind of feeling that I wanted to invoke while writing that stuff. And it's just, it's brilliant to see how far that song's come along, and I'm so happy that it made it onto the album. It's a very nice palette cleanser, but it's got a whole depth to it in itself. It's a really emotional song, I think, and it also ties into the concept beautifully. Like, we never intended it to surround the idea of you know, the war of being, because that idea wasn't a thing until we started recording the album. So yeah, it's a very impactful song, I think.
Yeah. I like.
Difficult as well, surprisingly difficult.
That's
Yeah.
one of the harder ones. Just, it's, I mean, you're hearing it in 4, but like it's like 15/8 or something pointless at the end of the second half. But I have to
15,
do that
16
just 'cause
things, and yeah, there's some silly things going on.
it's stupid.
But we were talking about this. Like, me and Akko were sharing a file the other day that we were working on to get used to this track, and the metronome that was the Cubase metronome, I just couldn't play along to it. It was the opposite number. I think it was a 3 and a 4 polyrhythm, and it's the other number that they work alongside one another, but one clicking in your ear makes it significantly more difficult to play along to. And you're hearing the 3s, and I think I'm hearing the 4s, and I was like, I just need to program in my click and send that to my ears instead. It's crazy. I can totally hear what you hear.
I hook into it when I do the like the gaps. if I do scratches,
Mm.
I can play it all the way through that last section fine. But it's remembering, is it 4 scratches or 3 scratches? I don't know, I've lost it. If I don't think about it, it's fine. Like, I wasn't thinking about it then. It's like, I can play
As soon
it.
as you
And now
got
I'm
an
thinking
audience,
about
though, it's like, oh shit, I'm thinking about it. Bollocks.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's weird.
It's a fun one, though, that is for sure. Just a quick question in chat. Tollgate, can we expect any drum transcription of the songs? Yes, they're all done, and we're just waiting to upload them, is the answer to that question. All of the transcriptions will be available for this, and there'll be announcements when they're online. We haven't got them yet. But more news on that soon. We've had...
a lot of people worked on that song, by the way. That was that was another collaboration. Like, so many people over the years have contributed to that. Oh, there was a really interesting bit as well with Kat, because when we were writing the vocals in the studio and like shaping them into the concept, it just was so uncanny that the main protagonists in the concept are X and L, who are represented as male and female. And me and Kat were in the studio, and like, she can sing. I'm looking at her, and we're writing this together, and I'm thinking, we kind of are representative of X and L in a way. So let's try and get you on the record, and let's have you have a moment with me where we're singing together. So that middle part of the section where it's like that end section that everyone keeps mentioning, we tried to record that separately, and we weren't quite getting the emotion and the recording, that special something in it. And Pete suggested, well, we haven't done this before on the album, why don't you both record it at the same time in the same mic? And so we stood together and sang it, and I'm always a bit unsure of stuff like that, because I'm like, well, how, if we want to edit these separately, we can't. We're like locked into one thing. It's got to be so super tight. And we spent about half an hour, 45 minutes trying to nail that, and we got a decent take in the end. But it's nice how it starts off predominantly Cat with that opening line, and then slowly I come in underneath, and then it becomes unison, and then it takes over again as if she's almost like just passing by in the song. It's a really nice detail.
I didn't realise you did that into one mic. That's amazing. Learning things. Greg gave us $50, and Anonymous gave us $5. Wow. Thank you very much, Greg and Anonymous. Much. Love you guys.
Both.
Let's play Slapper the Bass.
Realize.
It comes
4/4. No, it's not
Sounds
actually.
crazy, doesn't it? That end section. I still struggle to absolutely nail it.
That to me, it's still 4/4, but on the. Know what I mean? It's not really. It's all over the place, but the click I have over that is it's still 4/4.
I had a couple of questions from Overlord saying how much is this influenced by White Moth Black Butterfly's sound. It's funny you should say that because Randy from White Moth actually contributed to some of the soundscapes on the album as well. So you may be hearing a little bit of his flavour here and there, but it's very subtle. I wouldn't say there are any direct parallels with White Moth Black Butterfly aside from me singing and stuff. But yeah, I can kind of feel that in places for sure. Great song. I love that one. I think I'd like to play that live.
That's a hard one.
Really
That's
nice.
good. Yeah, I was going to say that's us in a rehearsal room for a
my
while.
Yeah, we need a bit more practice for that one. Although we said that about WoB and we've only played it twice,
It's so
so I'm
funny,
not going to
like-
jinx it.
I reckon you could do it. I reckon we could. I think it'd be worth it in the long run to learn that.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Should we have the red wine thing? Because people don't all know that. And that's a great story. So,
Red wine thing.
the red wine.
Red wine.
The red wine.
Which one?
In the studio,
Which one?
we got through more red wine than there is red wine. We drank a lot of red wine. And during tracking that song, we'd tracked up to the third verse. We'd kind of got up to that point. And where it gets really like, it's kind of sinister and a bit heavier, we'd got to that point and stopped for the day. This is just tracking drums at this point. I don't think the other parts were down. And we had dinner. It was just me, Ackle and Amos at this point. And we had, how much wine do you reckon? Must have polished off 2.5 bottles between the three of us. We'd had like enough. And we were like, let's just go back in the studio. Let's like hit record in here, go in the live room, and let's just have a go and see what comes out. And after 20, 30 minutes, we weren't in there long, were we? We just jammed around that verse a few times and didn't think much of it. Went back into the control room after, and I don't know if we listened to it or what. Probably just started watching some comedy or something, because that's what we did most of our
I think we
evenings.
watched Jackass 3.
I think we watched Jackass 3. I think you're probably right.
I don't remember any of it.
We ended up
Wow.
we watched a lot of like random comedy stuff or one of the Jackass things, and the next morning I wake up like red wine, just you bastard, that was a bit too much last night, and have a bit of breakfast, go to track the song again or track that bit again, and Pete walks into the studio and has a little listen to like where we're up to. Here's what we did the night before, and he's like, that's it, that's the take. We're like, what? There's no way the take where we're
It's
like,
alright.
and it ended up being the take.
We did screw around with it as well, which is quite fun. You know, that's not Tesseract, so it was really nice to get that experience of messing around with, like, really just going off piste a little, and that was fun.
We
Yeah,
weren't
it
playing
was-
the original idea there at all.
No,
Because it was just another verse that was the same. You know, in the demo, I don't think there was much fluctuation, and I remember just kind of just messing around, like bringing up the hats in the little moments where there's nothing else, just little stupid things that you hear in the moment that you'd probably pass and throw away and not do again. And it
Oh,
worked.
that was a bit. I wasn't there for that bit. I don't think. I think I got that
Yeah,
the
it
next
was
day.
just-
It's like it's just you two. I just remembered now. Yeah.
Oh, was it? I
I was
thought
like,
it was
what's
you.
this? This wasn't here before. I was like, oh, okay. And then I could go do it. We could go all like Jonathan Davis or whatever.
totally. It's like our homage to Korn.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically it. Yeah.
I love it. It's such a fun moment in that track, and
So many
knowing
different influences in that vocally that people are picking up on as well. So like, you know, Chester Bennington with the screams. There's some Michael Jackson in there. There's Jonathan Davis from Korn in there. There's all these different weird voices that are coming out, and rhythms and harmonies, and I think that's what for me makes the song really exciting from a vocal perspective. It's quite diverse. There's a lot going on. One thing I really like about it is in the chorus. There are no heavy guitars whatsoever. Have you noticed that? It's just clean and bass. No riffs. It's just vocal, bass, clean guitar, drums. We don't
Going
often
old
do that.
school,
It's
mate,
quite
analog, vintage.
very different approach. a lot of people say Matt Bellamy, and I have to say I can see where you're coming from, but that was not a direct influence on this record at all. I get it because I'm singing in head voice, and he's probably one of the few people that sing in rock that go up to that point in their head voice. So I can see where the comparison's coming from, but no real, influence there.
Also, how many iterations or versions of the song were there?
This was
It was a demo.
it got up to G
after-
or H.
Yeah, but even before that, I think it went to Z originally. It was a demo. It was just a Massive Attack ripoff originally. Straight after Sonder, and we could just never settle on or at least me and Moss couldn't settle on a structure. It just went through so many versions of it.
There was that
and it
whole
crazy.
intro that got sliced where Dan was singing something different. It started with Dan quiet. That bit.
Yeah, sorry.
That
Yeah.
was real nice as well. That could probably fit
It had
onto.
It had that drum beat, but everything else changed.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
drum beat, but a different melody, different ideas, and then it came in kind of where the core. Don't know where it comes in, but anyway, bits of it remained. But there's definitely chunks that were sliced off that might make it into another song at some point in the future.
I like how you get to the midpoint and it feels like the song's climaxing. Well, then it gets dirty.
Then it gets dirty again. Yeah. It goes for another round.
Gets right dirty.
We've had a prime sub from Massive Collapse and another £50 tipped by £50. So thank you very much,
What?
£50
Thank
for
you.
the £50.
Tipped itself.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
We're gonna have
Really appreciate it. That's gonna get us a lot of nappies and coffee on tour.
we might actually be able to get, we've always
Happy-
dreamed of the side of stage barista station, like a flight case that we take in that's got everything in. We take the lid off it and everything's in it that we need. We might be able to set that up. And James, we can put like some beer or like a margarita thing in there for you as well, if you like.
Depends on the temperature, I think. Yeah, hot shows, margaritas, definitely. Slightly colder shows, maybe a rum or a whiskey kind of station.
Ooh.
Side of stage, like kebab
Blade
thing
and
spinning
stuff.
round slowly, so you can shave off a bit mid show and have a slice.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right, we'll get that
Horrid.
set up for you.
I want to get some Icarian Greek wine. I want to get into that
Okay.
Do it.
because apparently it can lengthen your lifespan. So
Really?
down with that.
Is this from that
Yeah.
Netflix thing that everyone's? Yeah, I want to get some of
Have
them
you
purple
watched it?
spuds.
It's really good.
Yeah, I have
It's
watched
really
it.
good.
It's crazy. I'll definitely live into 100 now. I know all the secrets.
Basically, you've got to use your legs and keep active and drink lots of wine and eat lots of nice food.
Well, that's
Yeah.
me.
Live in the Mediterranean, walk uphill, go to church, and eat purple potatoes is what I took away from it.
True.
So
Yeah.
Sounds good.
let's go.
And always look after your gran and your mum. and your
Yeah,
dad.
look
Whoever's getting
look
on.
after your elders.
Don't just shove them in a nursing home. Get them in your ass. Get them in the spare room. Give them a good clean now and again. Sorted.
Oh God! All right, give them a good clean every.
Otherwise,
How did we get to that? Sorry.
Yeah.
How did we get to that
Oh
point?
my
I
God.
apologise.
Next.
I apologise.
You're right. You do have to clean them, mate. Next song.
I hope my kids clean me because I clean them enough.
Mhm.
Jeez.
Tell them.
I know Akil knows it. Akil knows it right now. He's living and breathing it. Aren't you?
Month-year-old. Aye.
Yeah, that's like basically hand
Doing
deep
nappies.
in human shit on a daily basis. That's where you are right now.
But
It's
worth
great
it
though,
because
isn't it? It's great. I love it.
It is because
Get
the
me-
amount of
get your hands
smiles that
dirty.
once it's been a big poo. It's great.
Okay.
Anyway, we deviate.
So what's left? It's burden
Then we
and
just
then
sacrifice.
Sacrifice. This is the last song.
Yeah.
Wow. I will
Sacrifice.
say that this is one of my favourite J moments on the album.
Why?
Yeah, there's like an immense fill that goes on, like double kick toms and everything.
The
Towards the end of the
stupid
song.
one. The
The
one that I did
stupid
as a
one.
joke
That's
because
my-
I'm like,
that's-
there's no way.
That's my favourite. That's my favourite J moment on this album.
Okay, so I'm going to point out which one it is. There's a fill in this where I just go cymbal, 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 and I did it because I didn't know what to do in the studio and thought everyone in the live room would laugh, and it'd just be a moment, and everyone was like, "Oh, use that, okay?" And I'm like, "Fuck off, we ain't using that," and he ended up using it. So there you go. Fact of the day.
Facts.
Where did that come from?
I'm playing it.
Praise the hero.
Hunk of the day.
That's
Everybody
where
make
it
way for
came
the hunk
from.
of the day. That, yeah,
Fucking protester hero.
so funny.
I am a shoulder and a crutch to hold on to. Rise up, consider me yours. Are your memories worthy of the fall? As tender moments lay scattered on the floor. Distance is nothing when we drink together. Days are the words I leave behind will last forever. Days are and watch the seasons change. Slow down, show me that you're in control. Stand up, 'cause I need my vision changed. Because I'm older.
the film.
Stupid film.
Feedback.
Originally, it went back into that. So yeah.
Oh, keep going.
Yeah, but when we were putting this together, the original, not that there was even an original order of songs, but I think that song went into the grey as an idea.
Halfway through the process of doing everything, it was like, oh yeah, this interlude will do this. We're starting to form a structure of the track order, and then we changed everything.
And then we changed it.
I think the nice thing about it is actually you can go into any song. You could start the whole album again, or you could flow into another. It still works, still feel good. It's a nice album closer. That.
So that's
Gives
the album.
Options,
that is WoB. And for everyone that's been and grabbed a copy or got any merch or has got tickets to a show, thank you very much. Come out and see us on tour. There's links below the video to do all of the things I just said. Grab your tickets.
If anybody wants to grab a VIP ticket, just so you know the kind of things you'll get from that, I believe that you'll get early access to the show. We get to hang out for quite a bit. I'm bringing my VR setup as well, so I've got my laptop and my VR headset, so you can try the game if you haven't got VR. We're going to be doing an exclusive acoustic set for the VIPs. There's going to be early access to the merch table, and what else have we got?
Semi-acoustic.
Semi-acoustic.
Semi-acoustic, yeah. What else do we have?
Riffless, I suppose, rather than acoustic.
Yeah.
No distortion patches.
Photo ops, you get a VIP laminate as well, so you can walk around and be all fancy and flash your pass at people.
And yeah, you also get to hear a song that nobody else is going to get to hear.
Yeah, that's
before
true.
Anybody else?
Album
so, like,
6.
we're doing. Do we say
What's
what
that?
we're doing yet, or is it a surprise?
Keep it a surprise.
Okay, it's a surprise, but basically we're not doing it during the live show, and you won't hear it anywhere else. So that's going to be on the VIP package.
Yeah.
And we want to hang with you guys for a bit and thank you for supporting us for so long and getting us to this point.
We've got questions to go,
And-
no, unless anyone...
We've got the questions. Oh, do you mind
Yeah.
if I just have a little tiddle?
Mate, I'm never
Little tiddle.
sitting... If we're on a
I'm gonna
plane,
tiddle.
I'm
Tiddle
never...
my pants.
You're never going to the right of me. Like, you're never getting window side of me on a plane, ever.
That's why I always sit on the end,
Yeah.
on the aisle.
Go and have a wee, mate. I'll entertain everyone in the meantime.
Play WoB again.
Nah. So I'm going to crank open the questions, see what you guys have been saying. Shout out to Juno, bless her, who's put all the questions into one place for me, which is super nice and easy. Oh my days! There's quite a few.
Go
Dan,
and get a drink.
You can start without me if you want.
are you weeing? Have you got like a man potty there? Has he got one of them? You got a bottle?
It's just it's a bag.
It's a Lucasade
Connected to
bottle.
it.
It's a bag. Okay. I turn it around this way because it's too... Oh my... It doesn't turn. No, iPhone. What are you doing? All right. Monique Froze says, how is the process to create the songs for each of you on this album? Did you jam it out collectively? I mean, we probably answered that most, like, through the answers, through the bits that we've said after each track, really. Every song was different.
Yeah.
All of the songs start with something that Ackle has into existence, and we've got a pretty decent understanding of before we tried to record. Some things evolved in the studio. I don't know how much deeper I can go than that. You guys have got your own experiences.
Yeah, we've already gone into the Grey, that being a quick one that I wrote, apart from the verse, which took a week. War of Being was a weird one because that was a culmination of probably 2 years of riffs, and it's there's something here, but I don't know what to do with it. And then
Do you remember the
eventually became
original?
a 10-minute song?
The the triplety heavy bit was
That I heard to one.
you put it on Instagram. I found it again the other day. It was like 19th
still there,
of
yeah.
August or 7th of August 2019, and it's like a
Yeah.
couple of keys up.
Yeah, it's
But-
a different key. That's right. Yeah,
So
but
good.
I had
though.
to shove it. It's like this would work perfectly if it was. It's in the perfect. It's in the right tempo. It's in the wrong key. I gotta redo it all. But
So good.
lots of jigging around. Lots of that on this album. But it worked in the end.
Worked real good.
Jigsaw.
Verpy S says, how is the process of making the videos? How were they born? We've kind of talked about that as well. Was it difficult to choose which songs to make videos of, or was it clear from the beginning? We haven't talked about that, I suppose. We were very passionate about War of Being the first one. We didn't want to just put out what people might expect, which is the 3-4 minute banger. We wanted to put out a big piece of Tesseract after such a long time. Not just after such a long time, we just wanted to do that one. It just felt more us, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't straightforward. We'd almost, in fact, I think before we, because I remember being in France and speaking to Kyle and Stephen, the guys that did that took my treatment and wrote the War Being video and like choreography and all that. I remember speaking to them about trying to do the whole story a good 2 years before we even entered the studio, which was really interesting. And then we tried to make that kind of figure out how to do that over about 6 months, and then that went cold for a while. And then we were speaking to lots of different people and trying to get the same thing going. And then it just became apparent that we were not going to be able to do the whole story because that's ridiculous. That's that's an awful lot of budget that I don't think anybody has to, but we didn't know that at the time. We didn't really figure it out. But then, we ended up breaking it down into simpler ideas and really just finding the core root of what we needed to find from it all, which was wonderful, and then that all came from one single image that that we produced as part of the character development for the story and for when we were in the studio. So it was great that they were able to really extrapolate from that and create such an intense epic thing, and then to have Rich involved as well, Richard Oakes, to be able to work with us as as a secondary team to create all the stuff where we were involved was massive effort. And that video, I think, probably, as well as the initial toing and froing and development stages, I guess that started at on the 4th of January. I think that's when the initial choreography motion capture session was. And then when the hell did we hand that in? Like a week before it was released. Whenever that was. I really don't remember when that was now. I guess 3 months ago.
Something like that.
So what are we looking? 5 months? 6 months? It's pretty intense. But yeah, loads of work for about 6 months. It's wild.
I remember it got quite stressful towards the end. 'Cause it wasn't just down to the wire. Like budgets were running out, and I mean, obviously, I wasn't hugely involved in that aspect, but I remember the conversations about how is it even going to be finished at one point.
Yeah, a lot of the CG stuff was it took Richard Oakes to basically come in and have a different perspective on things, and really he added the tone and the atmosphere to it, for which it wouldn't have been the same thing if it wasn't for him, which is wonderful. But yeah, I remember going through and editing some of because there were some errors in some of the renders, and I remember picking out frame by frame and just fixing it in Photoshop and then importing it back in.
Oh my
and
God.
I just go, what the hell, man? This is insane. What are we doing? But
you remember you correcting like a headstock or something that vanished for a frame.
Poor Rich had to go in and re-rotoscope like 6 or 7 shots because the guitar disappeared for no reason.
Oh my God.
Now for my next trick.
Funniest, Dutch Gentleman says, funniest moment of the album creation process or the filming of the videos for each of you. My funniest moment. I can't think of like a standout hilarious moment, but there were just lots of really good times in the studio. Can you think of a funny moment?
Funny. I guess we were kept getting gifts from Dust, the studio the on-site murderer who just kept bringing like half a snake, or he decapitated a rabbit.
Yeah,
it's insane. A cat just destroyed this rabbit. And so that was not funny but different. It's not the sort of thing you expect.
Flamenco Moss says Mike the Light in the chat. That was pretty good.
That was very funny.
That was hilarious.
Well, when this career goes tits up, that's my new career.
Yes.
Wandering around drunkenly at your local restaurant begging for tips.
There you go.
I would pay money for that experience.
People on Twitch pay money for that experience. Dan said, War of Being Samurai, a Fear's Legion. I'm wondering why they are samurai. Is there a connection to Japanese culture?
No, again, we kind of looked at this earlier, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were talking about that it was looking at fearsome, emotionless, stoic characters throughout history. And there's the samurai were from one period of history, the Edo period of Japanese culture, and then we were looking at others as well, but they just didn't fit within they're part of the original story, and they may in fact remain part of that story because it feels like it should do, but then they're not part of the video story. Although we were looking to the original idea for Legion was quite a bit bigger, and we were looking to keep in the more modern contemporary idea of having World War One soldiers, which were the same sort of faceless, emotionless fear element. But yeah, that budget also turned out to be ridiculous. So it was
Next time.
yeah,
I think
who knows?
The interesting thing there, though, is that Fear's Legion can take on any form.
Yeah.
And that's just one form that you're seeing in the video. For example, in the game, we do have samurais in the game which represent Legion, but we're also going to use the those kind of like twisted army kind of guys as parts of Fear's Legion as well. And they could come in various different forms as well. So that was just kind of like one of the most fun ways of representing that, I think. I think we had some early conversations about Sucker Punch. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Sucker Punch, amazing film, and there's that one scene where you've got the two gigantic samurais trying to kill the main female protagonist in that movie. Still an amazing film. I think there was maybe a potential element of inspiration from that conversation, but yeah, as Moss says, I think it was the right kind of stoic figure to represent for that particular
Had that
fight.
look, that tone, and it just carried the song so well.
Will the making of War Being documentary and other content in the 3-disc art book be released digitally or accessible through some other means? We don't know yet. We're actually there was a conversation earlier about that. But
we have to give some leeway for the people that have purchased the deluxe Blu-ray version.
Yeah,
so we can't just go like, oh, I'll plop it on YouTube.
Yeah, but we are aware
There's a
that
reason for that product to exist. But yeah, as Jay's about to say, we're aware of the presence that that we need to put it online at some point. But it's just when. I think.
Yeah, it's
when's
a
the right
great
time for that.
documentary. That I remember watching that when it was finished, and it really captures the vibe of the studio and the. It took me back. You know how music takes you back to a time. The same kind of vibe watching that. I mean, it's literally us in that space, so that's not surprising. But it's nice. It's a good time watching that.
We all had a good time. It was
a
nice.
lovely time. It was nice.
It was good.
Let's see what else. I've noticed the first half of the album uses a seamless transition between every song, but the second half of the album mostly doesn't. Was that an intentional decision or a coincidence? Natural result of the music?
Yes.
Yeah, natural result
Yeah.
of the music. I think.
It was just natural, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Question for Amos. What was the driving inspiration for the story of the Strange Lands? Any particular thing or event?
Everything, man. It's kind of spending. We all experience something. In what 28? I can't even remember the years now. 2018, 2019. The whole world experienced something, and it just led me to be somewhat introspective and explore things that I'd been thinking about. So I guess really, just enforced introspection really popped that idea onto the plate. But I do feel like it's sort of things that everybody my sort of age kind of think about. So I don't think there was any one particular event, but there was rather a environment that we were all experiencing and a weird sort of reality that the whole world was experiencing for a few years, and we still are in many respects as we recover from it. So I think that was probably the instigator to put those ideas to paper.
Nice.
We had a night. Well, also tap on the back end of that. So Sonder was very much. I've said this a few times, but the previous album was very much about looking at the people around you and realizing that they're living complex and vivid lives, equally as complex as your own. So it's very much about looking at the world around you in a different perspective. Whereas this time around, I think we need to take another perspective and turn the camera on the self. I think that was also potentially an instigator in that concept as well. It's like making it more introspective, as Moss says, you know, and like turning the focus on the individual rather than the external.
Is the vinyl recorded with the analog or digital audio? I mean, the vinyl and CD and digital and everything all the same. It was recorded into. Well, you guys answer because I'm crap. It was recorded.
It's not. It's just a digital version essentially. Yeah. It's not like a posh, proper analog version of a vinyl master. But then most vinyls are done that way nowadays, unless you're in an indie band with tape machines and stuff and a proper vinyl lathe and stuff.
We did mess with the tape machine for a bit in the studio, didn't we? And we had an idea. Or didn't we?
Just for the kind of stuff we do, it's more faff than it is worth. We did some being with it. Like Pete, I think did a version. Like we tracked a whole song of it. I think like, you know, typically digitally through a Logic, whatever it was he was using, and a tape version. It was like, yeah, it's got 1% more 200 hertz. Yay!
I couldn't hear a damn difference personally. We're listening through these insane speakers, and I'm like, I couldn't tell you which was which. If I'm being
for the cost of tape, it wasn't bringing anything extra to the table, and because we were going to be splitting it between different studios. It was like, this really isn't gonna.
It'd get complicated,
work. Yeah.
It's a workflow thing,
Just having to read through. For Moss and Akol, can you tell us more about the bass tone? I remember hearing it in Portals and thinking it was so unique. Haven't been able to get close, particularly in Burden. Is it a piezo pickup on the bass?
It is not. Although on the demo it was. It was a Ibanez AFR, but then those slaps are switched to a Warwick FNA Jazzman, so like old school TesseracT tone. The one behind Akol, there you go. Yeah, just because that has that tone profile that works incredibly well for
that top end.
TesseracT. Yeah, I mean, and I think the last track as well, Sacrifice, you know, you really hear it in that track. It's kind of just got a really well leveled out top end. And it's a fairly muddy bass, which is odd, but it's got once you get rid of all that mud, the bottom end is really nice, and it's almost got like a natural distortion in the high end. It's like it has like a fuzz to it that just makes it stick out. And I swear Warwick have got like some weird proprietary compression going on in their preamp that is all hidden away in secret. Because, it just seems to have like an inbuilt EQ applied to it that doesn't really sound like it should be coming from the bass, but more like it's coming from some form of processor. But, that was, I think the majority of it was that, if not all of it. I can't quite remember if, I think Akol might have tracked some stuff with a Dingwall on
a couple of bits,
Yeah. Like some heavier sections.
The distorted parts,
Exactly, the Dingwall's got a really nice sort of controlled vibe, as opposed to the Warwick having a bit more of a bigger low end, which just in the heavier sections becomes muddy. It's horses for courses, the right sort of thing for slap. That bass is amazing. And it's interesting that you mentioned piezo, because it does sound like it's got that on the top end, but no. It's a broken preamp that I ended up having to rewire the PCB board because I smashed it, and for some reason have never bothered to replace it. And Akol has it now, and it seems to work incredibly well, although it's a little noisy. But
Is that the same bass you used on one?
You've had that forever. You had that when
you were going to sell it. It was like, you can't get rid of that. No, it's a secret tone guitar.
Just wasn't using it. So I was like, there you go, man.
What's in store for the future of the band? I wish we knew. Moss just died.
Ideas, haven't we? Lots of ideas.
Lots of flying.
We want to do a live show against an eclipse in the desert.
Oh, we talked about that.
We're going to do a live show. I didn't know we were doing a live show.
Celestial events. We were talking about that for ages.
We want to do the celestial event. We've been speaking about it for like a decade.
Yeah, it's just trying to time it with
weather
an eclipse
and location,
tough.
And you might not see it.
This is also the problem. Yeah, And maybe the idea is better than the reality of it. Not entirely sure about that one. But I know other bands have tried it. I think Pink Floyd did it at some point, and I don't think it worked very well for them. They were doing it in Tripoli in Libya, and I think it just messed up, and they ended up sinking like $200,000, which was a lot of money in the late 60s when they were trying to do it.
Yeah, bloody hell.
So yeah, things
I
like
would
that.
really like to make Dust and Sand. Yeah, at some point. Dust and Sand by Tesseract.
Just the
Bandwagon
smell of
scent.
the tour bus.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Perhaps too early for you all to be thinking on it, but given the hype leading up into the release and the massive response out the gate, is there any pressure to try and ride the momentum and start working on a follow-up album? Fans have proven they'll show up in droves after a 5-year wait, so I'm referring more to the pressure perhaps felt internally to the band to capitalise on the excitement and new music outside of the world tour and game.
Good question. Moss is shaking his head, but as soon as we finished writing this album, I was like, let's book some time in between tours, get back in the studio and just write together. Get some ideas going ready.
I'd love to do that.
But there's a number of ways you can do it. You know, there are a lot of bands that I know Moss is quite keen on, like, you know, going down the potential EP single route. I'm more for the album route because I like the magic in the build up to a campaign. I feel like it's got more legs to it if you've got a full album. But we could go anyway. It's hard to know. The industry is changing. It depends how fast we write. It depends if we get the time to write together. I'm keen though. I'm keen on. I'm always keen. You know, if I've got any small ideas and seeds, I'll always keep just chipping away and adding little vocal ideas. And sometimes that inspires Ackle to instigate an idea. But we're all got responsibilities in life, and I know we don't want to leave it another 5 years. It's apparent that that's a long time to wait between albums, right? But
we'll get back,
especially if this one is
eventually.
if it's a big album. There's a more attention around us, and if we manage to get bigger opportunities, I'm sure it's going to be a very busy couple of years touring, because this is going to take us around the world multiple times, no doubt. So it's just fitting in the time and seeing where things go, I think.
We got 30 seconds each on this one, because we could talk for fucking ages if I don't set that rule. Which song from WoB is your favourite and why for all 5 of you? Let's go in the order of the images on the screen. Amos Williams.
It changes all the time, to be honest. No, sorry, that's a non-committal answer, but it's true. Just listening back to it now, I was like, I really like those last 2 tracks. They're pretty cool. And then, tomorrow it'll be one of the first 2 tracks.
James Monteith.
Boo! You gotta pick a track.
I don't have to do anything, man.
You don't have to do anything. Fight the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good point though, because it's all so new. I think you find new enjoyment in different tracks the more you get to know them, at least from my perspective. But I think War of Being still feels great to play just because it's difficult and it's just quite an achievement to get through it. So it's like, did it. Yeah.
Especially after that first show we did. It's like, Jesus, we did it. There's no mix.
Exactly.
Legion.
Legion.
That's my current favourite. I like it all, but Legion just fucking rocks. It's great fun to try and play.
Yeah.
There's a moment in it that's completely buried, and you guys can't hear it, but it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to learn. The ride section.
Yeah, the right.
Absolute nightmare.
Ting,
Ting to ting. Very difficult.
ting.
But Legion
Ackley.
is sick.
Me, Burden, because it's got a bit of everything. It's got a bit of that chill, it's got all that slap. It's just my favourite for some reason. But there you go, simple.
Daniel, have you already said?
I'm kind of in the same opinion as Moss, to be honest. Like it does change, to be fair.
You just give him shit for not choosing, and you're not going to choose.
Yeah, but I'm only joking, obviously. But I will choose because I will commit. I will commit. I think purely because of the experience that I had in the studio and because I pushed myself to the limit, I'm going to say Legion.
Yeah,
It's just-
Legion Bros.
It's just a very powerful song
Yeah, I
all
love it.
around. So.
Do you?
But I actually really like Burden. I like War of Being. as well. And I like Sacrifice. And I like Sirens. And I like The Grey. And I like Echoes. And I like Tender. So.
What about ND? Don't like that one.
Least favourite.
Oh, I actually do like ND. I tell you what though, because we played it for so long, I kind of got.
It feels like an older song.
It does feel like an
feels
older
like an
song
old
now.
song.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Playing it for a year.
Do you see yourselves continuing to grow and evolve the world features in this album?
What?
Do you
Potentially.
see continuing to grow? a strange
Only
life?
if it makes sense. There's no need to force this. We kind of got to finish this one first.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't feel that. I've had ideas, but I don't necessarily feel that it should go beyond this kind of story or this edge of story, because it doesn't. There isn't a clear way forward or backwards, if that makes sense, in terms of sequel or prequel. Because they're kind of wrapped up already within the story as it is. So I don't know. We shall see.
Okay.
It's certainly something.
It's a nice
Don't-
idea. I mean, you've
yeah.
certainly got to fit. I think you should finish your novella. Get on it.
No,
Do it.
we shall see how it's done. Yeah, see how it goes.
What are some specific individual challenges you overcame on your path to completing your part on the album? Anything from a section of a song you struggled with in the studio, a sound idea you couldn't quite achieve initially in mastering, etc. So personal challenges we overcame when
Finishing it, getting to that finish line. It's just like it felt like such a big thing, but it always does, no matter what album it is, like, or whatever thing it might be in life for anyone. It's just like, it's this massive thing, but just eventually, it's done now.
yeah.
Next.
For me, it
That's
was
awesome.
like there were so many parts of this that on previous records I haven't had to go through this process of I've got to play this really difficult thing that we may or may not play live. There may be some songs I can't say this at this point. I'd like to do all and everything that we played here live at some point, but there are songs that we've never played live that have been on records, so we've never learned them. And for this, I've had to know everything at a really high level, and some of it was just insane. And there was a lot of self-talk that was shit leading up to it that I had to squash as best I could, because it loves to tell you you're shit and you can't do it. Then you get to the studio and it was fine. And I guess not knowing quite what the studio experience was going to be, because the way that we ended up tracking ended up kind of completely removing any doubts that I had as well. So yeah, knowing what I know now about the process, I don't think I'll have that same experience going into it next time. But it was just feeling prepared enough, I guess, is the short way of saying that. Feeling prepared to go into the studio, because I could have kept practicing. It's not like I could sign on the dotted line and say I'm completely ready now to go into the studio. I was just as rehearsed as I could be, and I didn't know if that was going to be enough. That was the biggest barrier for me.
I don't have to play any of it anymore. The ones are playing live. Just learn it as
It's
I'm recording
interesting,
it, and
isn't
then
it?
it just goes.
Going back to it's a tough one, isn't it? Because it's kind of there, but then you think, maybe I could play it this way instead, and it's very different to try to relearn stuff that you've forgotten.
I hadn't
It was
touched
a year ago.
Legion since we were in the studio with it, because it was so new in the studio. That was one that didn't exist the day before, and I just had to learn the parts the night the stuff that we were going to play the next day, learn it the night before and track it the next day. I hadn't practiced it.
But there's an urgency to that that's really cool. There's like I don't know, almost a fragility to it,
Yeah.
you're not overthinking anything. You're just reacting. You're just
I was just
kind of on the edge.
Yeah, as that song was 100%. I was relying 100% on ability. Like I knew the pattern, but I hadn't practiced it, so I just tried. Which, yeah, was fun, but also fucking terrifying. But no, it wasn't terrifying. It was fun, and it came out really good.
What was the question again? Was it like most difficult thing to
What?
overcome?
Yeah, well, any challenges you overcame, like to achieve the album?
I think my personal one was, this is the beauty of the concept, was it's letting go of your ego a little bit, and then allowing other people in on the process. Because in the past, I think we've all been very protective over what we bring and what we do in the band. And for me, it was very much about letting go of that and including other people in the journey. I think that was quite hard to do, but it's all part of, growing and maturing, and we're all better for it. I think the album wouldn't have been what it is without those added perspectives and levels of influence. So that was a big one for me, because obviously it pushes you out of your comfort zone totally. Like I'm like, it's a bit like Ackle in a way, but like, I've always had total control over what I'm doing behind the mic in the studio. I know what I want to achieve, and I'll do it my way. And to let go of that and be insecure and be vulnerable and just trust somebody else with that process is actually quite a big step for someone that's so involved in the process from the outset. So that was the most difficult thing for me.
Cool. Let's have a look. There's loads of questions. I'm just trying to cherry pick the ones that I feel we can really get into. I'm not sure about this, but was there a reason the volume levels of the album are as low as they are? Just curious, because it's
Dynamics. Just turn your speakers up.
Turn your speakers up, mate. Turn your speakers up. Listen to it like a human.
Yes, that's a short answer.
Dynamics. Well, I mean, I remember one was kind of intentionally a bit
Headroom,
quiet
yeah.
as well, like headroom. So you turn it up, and the stuff that's supposed to punch is actually punchy. We're not trying to be 11 all the time. That's
Basically,
why.
Yeah. I just want to crush it completely because it just gets all pumpy, and there's a lot of low end in there as well, so it's just taking up all the voltage of the mix, so it's just going to get all weird and smeared and squished. So
There you go.
I think people just
do that.
expect, because like obviously when you're on your phone, you've got iPods and you listen on Spotify, there's a max volume that even your phone can go at. I think people are just used to hearing spanked music.
Yeah.
Which I get. I know. But
Deal with it. That's what I'd say. Where did you get the inspiration? Go on, sorry.
louder. I should have made it one louder.
One louder, yeah.
Yeah.
Release a 10-year anniversary and just call it one louder. Just make it like a little bit louder. Where did you get the inspiration for the names X and L?
This is a really interesting one because it's been fascinating seeing other people's thoughts on that, and I'm kind of in two minds whether to say anything about it because I'm really interested in what people keep coming up with, because there's clearly stuff that maybe was at the back of my mind that I've picked up on and I know, but that it was not intentional. Like there's stuff out there about it being connected to various ideas of the various different gods throughout different cultures. That's not really where it came from. Certainly X has a direct link to the Latin there, but it's not the actual. There's nothing behind that beyond the name, and L certainly isn't what I've seen people put out there, but it's a fascinating theory and it would be really interesting if it was, but I'm not that smart, I'm afraid, and I didn't put that much of a grand idea on it because X and L are fundamentally elements of ourselves. They're not any idea about God and religion, not in the slightest. They're about humanity and the internal struggles within humanity. But it's certainly fascinating to see what people have been suggesting out there. I've had some particularly interesting conversations.
Nice. Are there any plans?
TW Proxin's girlfriend has just brought him a VIP upgrade for Manchester.
That's nice.
Me.
Thank you very much.
That's
Look forward to seeing you there. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Are there any plans for another Portals?
Kind of, yeah. We're looking at the ideas, and it's just about when is good for that to happen, and in what format, because it's going to have to be live, isn't it? As in with a crowd, I think. That's the natural progression. The problem is the X factor of Portals was the stuff that isn't possible in reality. You know, the stuff that was all in camera as a result of the camera artifacts.
Bendy lights.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how that would work in real life, but there are other things that we can do that could maybe expand upon that idea.
We may even be able to, hopefully, who knows, actually incorporate it into a mini film.
Yeah.
We've always loved the idea of creating a film of some kind to go along with the concepts that we've been creating, and we've never had the budget to achieve it. So, I mean, we've been speaking to Rich. He would love to help us with that and make something happen.
Yeah.
It's so special if we could, though, wouldn't it, make a
That'd be sick.
mini film?
Yeah, it'd be really cool to expand upon everything we've worked so hard creating over the last 5 years. Yeah, it'd be amazing.
In which area of music writing have you seen the biggest improvement compared to the band's previous work? I'd just say into collaboration.
I was going to say the better bits were when somebody other than me did it.
I wouldn't say that. No, I mean in terms of like the collaboration is where we've grown the most, because some of these riffs are as old as one. So
yeah, like GD idea and stuff. Yeah, true. Some oldies there.
That's what I'd say. I don't know if that answers the question, but
nothing springs to my mind of like I didn't have an epiphany of, oh, this is such a different way of writing. It's just kind of, it's not a formula. It's just a way, like I'll spend hours and hours and hours just on loop, jamming different things. Sometimes it's really quick, like with the Grey, like I said earlier. Other times it'll be days and days of that was shit, delete that, that was crap, what the hell, I'm just, fuck this isn't going anywhere, oh my god, I'm raging internally. And then eventually something clicks.
It's tricky because people think that TesseracT are perhaps bigger than what we are, and we always present ourselves
talking to
as
your mic,
bigger
Dan.
than what we are. Talking to my mic?
Yeah.
I'm a bit quiet.
You were, because
So-
you were sat back.
What I'm trying to say is I think in the past we've been a victim of the music industry in terms of the pace of it, and we've always had to kind of like produce for the next cycle quickly, or we've had a commitment or a deadline, and that stopped us from really collaborating. And one, we haven't had the budget to do it, and time pressure. So I think this time around, I think the gift of the time that we've had is to actually
And all the free
collaborate more, and obviously all the free money. But I think no, we haven't had any free money. Nothing's free, mate. We just had more time.
money.
More time to consider these things and plan these things in, rather than be like rushed. Oh, you've got a tour in Megadeth, you've got to do that. It's more important than doing an album.
You got to do an album, and you got to do this tour, and you got to do this tour, and you got to get in
I mean, those
2.5, 3
opportunities
years.
are fantastic, and
Without
it's
a
kind of
doubt.
like there's a bit of a you got to do this because it's so big, or it's going to be great for your career, or you got to do this and go on tour, earn money, and that kind of thing. But ultimately, the music is the most important thing. I think in the past we've kind of not had the luxury of actually making the music the focus.
If you
I
think,
know it sounds a bit crazy, but there is
No,
an
you're-
element of
you are
reality
right.
to that.
if you think about it, we haven't toured in 5 years, and we've had all the time to work on this. So in between previous albums, you're looking at maybe 3 years, something like that. In that time, touring massively, America twice, maybe Europe twice, Australia, India, all of the festivals, summer festivals. There's so much time that you're away doing that, and it's exhausting going away and doing that. As great as it is knackering, you know. And
COVID was kind of a benefit. Sorry to interrupt, but it was kind of useful in a way, I think.
yeah, to
Just
be
give us
able
an
to just focus.
Time, yeah, just to literally be not distracted and get on with it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a thing, isn't it? Distraction. We've had many distractions.
Yeah, but we've had a very long time with this one. Let's see what else. In WoB, are there any references to the previous albums?
Loads.
Loads, yeah. Okay. I mean, mirror image.
I mean, sonically, there's obviously lots of callbacks to earlier albums and sounds. I think there's there's references to the different periods of Tesseract. Lyrically, there's a few little nods towards previous concepts and albums. Like, obviously, the obvious one is going to be the mirror image callback in Legion. I think you can kind of feel it and hear it throughout, to be honest. I think if you go through the lyrics, you'll see a few little things here and there. Nothing like massively obvious, but there are little Easter eggs if you look for them hard enough.
Any new gear that you're bringing on tour that you're excited to play with in a live setting? I got another floor tom. I'm well excited for that. I got another pair of hi-hats. I got 2 pairs of hats now, so I can be a drum wanker.
Oh, I'm getting a new guitar, which I've actually just been sent an image at, which I've been looking at, not really paying attention. But yeah, a little preview. Oh, it's my new guitar coming.
Show us.
Oh, pre-bab grease. Nice.
Yeah,
It's green.
it's green, and it's going to be nicely kebab greased for extra kind of speedy fretwork.
Fantastic.
What made you go for green?
It's kind of based on my last green one actually, which I really like the finish, and it's a bit of an evolution on that, and that one's not really, but I've not been able to use it for a while because it's not roadworthy. It doesn't cope with temperature changes, so I thought I'd remake it, but with a slightly more modern spec.
It's over greased. Anyone else got any new trinkets that you're bringing on tour? Are you excited to slam around?
We're getting some racks.
New
Ooh,
racks.
yay! I'm quite excited about that because all our gear's been held together by gaffer tape for fucking 5 years. We've
Yeah,
actually
that's true.
got some proper equipment for a change. I've actually spent a month talking to the guy from Malevolence who's building it for us. It's like, proper gear.
Nice.
Well, hopefully. Nothing exciting there.
It's the first time in North America I'll be taking my vocal preamp and compressor. So I'm looking forward to doing that because that's what I use in the studio all the time. It's what I use on the record. It's what I use for my streaming. So like to go on tour and use gear that you're very familiar with is a very comforting thought, and it's what I'm used to. So I'm looking forward to being comfortable on stage in North America actually for the first time.
Yeah. I could carry on, but most of the other questions are things that I think we've kind of talked around. I was trying to scan with my memory of what we've talked about, and most of the rest of the other ones, I think we can. Yeah, we've kind of talked about them as the tracks have gone on, so I won't ask them again. But yeah, come and see us. Get your tickets. They're available at the link below the stream. Get your VIP tickets if you want to get closer to us and smell us.
I'd do that early in the tour.
Yeah, much earlier in the tour. Do that in
To be fair,
Charlotte.
Moss, you are definitely the most pleasant smelling individual in the band. I think always make an effort.
COVID gave me what's the thing where your nose, you basically have phantom smells. Everything fucking stinks at the moment. It's awful. Like my house smelled of peppermint earlier today. I'm like, what is going on? And I smelt of onions. I'm like, what the hell? So yeah, I've got asomnia or whatever it's called at the moment. Yeah, I'm a bit pissed about that.
Sorry that
But-
you're probably going to
So
be sleeping
you
above
are
me.
all really going to smell weird to me on tour.
I can't possibly smell any
Yeah.
worse.
Well, the bandwagon's going to smell anyway, isn't it?
It's going to smell of feet and farts. So to be
Yeah,
fair,
but-
if your nose is distorting those smells, that's probably a
Exactly.
good
It might
thing.
smell like flowers. Yeah.
Do you know what? So I've got a question for you guys. Since the last tour, what's changed physically? for you guys?
What's the last bit you said? What's changed physically?
Physically.
Well, I'll give you an example. My feet stink nowadays, and also I snore randomly. I just started snoring, so
I usually
smell
just
and snore.
Great.
I have daymares that I just wake up and go, ah!
In the
Daymare.
while you're awake,
During the
just
day.
walking down the street going,
Daymares. I didn't know that's a thing.
I think that's Tourette's.
That's what I thought. It was.
Daymares.
Daymares.
Well, old man things. I've got gammy shoulder, which I can't lift. I'm having to change the position of my china, and I've got painful middle finger tendon there. That's my two things.
I'm
I'm
sorry
battling
to
with at the
laugh.
moment. I don't know. Don't ask me to lift anything with my right arm really, because I could fuck myself on tour.
Yeah, whatever. You're just preparing.
No,
us having to carry
I
all
can
your
lift
shit.
things in a certain way, but it's the kind of thing. It's like,
Right.
do I see a doctor about this? But I'm in America
Yes.
and I don't want to do that.
I still can't get over daymare. Is that a thing? What? So what?
It's
What
a-
happens then?
Just Google it. It's a meme more than anything.
I want to see
Daymare.
this happen.
That's one of my seizures at night. Like as I'm drifting off, I have
It's-
a massive freak. And, yeah, it's just if the fact that you have that during the day. Wow.
No, I don't have it during the day, but it's
Oh,
just as I'm going to sleep. So it's not really a daymare, really, but it feels like one. But yeah, I was.
So it's
exaggerating.
it's a process of you depleting your dopamine. So you basically just your brain goes mental for a while because you're having like a dip in dopamine in your day, and you should get it looked at because it's a precursor to Alzheimer's. So make sure you get
don't
that.
say that.
Oh no!
Really, dude, I'm being serious. Make sure you get it looked at
Mate,
because
Emma gets
you're
that
probably
all the
just
time.
super tired.
I need to
But-
mention that to her now. She needs to stay active. Every time she goes to bed and I'm streaming and I go to bed later, all I've got to do is undo the door or get in the covers and she goes,
God. Wow.
Daniel, is that you? Of course it's me. You think it's going to be?
I think she's just
Go back to
anxious,
sleep.
man.
Yeah, I can scare Bailey really easy in the house. The same kind of things. Like if she'll be doing something, I'll be like, "Hello." She'll, oh shit! It's only going to be me, and it's not like I've gone boo. It's not like I've done that. I've gone hello. Like, I don't know what it is.
It's because you're creeping around.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I am creeping around.
I did that the other day. Emma went up the stairs. She's doing something. And I followed her upstairs. She didn't realise. And I came out. She thought I was downstairs. And I came out of the bedroom, just walking out. She was like, ah! What are you doing there? Like, what do you mean what I'm doing here? Putting the washing away.
Oh man.
Oh dear.
What are you bringing anything on tour as like a comfort thing, like to a
Clothes.
A pillow.
Yeah,
A
pillow.
proper pillow.
Yeah.
Same. I'm ordering one of them cube pillow things for this tour.
Super old man, aren't we?
I got like a nice pillow. I got a sleep mask.
Air
I've got
fresheners.
a fan up here that's clips into USB, so I can stick it right next to my head in my bunk. So I've got airflow in the bunk. Because you know
It's
them
not a
little
bad
computer
idea.
fans in the bunk that are just crap. I want like nice air in my bunk. Blow all my farts down the other way.
It's that.
Cool.
No, isn't anyone else bringing
Great.
anything?
I'm bringing my Steam Deck.
Yeah, Steam Deck. Same.
I'm always used to packing light. Like it's usually like not allowed to pack anything because we've got no travel allowance, weight allowance.
Well,
or anything.
apparently we've all got a 20k case to get checked in as well this time.
Yeah.
Really?
But think about what's at the
Yeah,
other
that
end.
was exciting.
No fucking space.
Yeah, it's going to have to go in the
anything.
trailer.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
want a massive
Yeah,
case, or do you want to have a small case that, you know, fits in
Yeah,
a
I'm still
junk
going to pack
bag?
light just because I just can't be asked carrying lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's just much
Mm.
easier
Yeah,
having
We've got loads of stuff also. So
exactly.
Crazy how light we travel now. Like if I go on tour, I only take like a
Mm.
week. If it's like a big tour, like a week worth of everything,
Yeah.
and just
Mm.
wash it.
You wash it. Yeah, makes
But
it
I
a
do
lot
that on
easier.
holiday now. Though I'll go on holiday. It's just a tiny bag.
nothing.
What I'm used to.
Yeah,
Traveling.
used to living
This
out
is
of a
good.
put
This is
little
good.
overhead bag.
We actually did
a
that. We
month.
went to Spain like a couple of weeks back, and Emma packed like this massive suitcase full of all the kids' stuff, all of her stuff. And she was like, "Where's your stuff?" I literally had a backpack. I had a vest and some shorts. And she's like, "Is that all you're taking for the week?" Oh, I might take a shirt from the odd night out. That's about it.
It's crazy. My parents go on loads of cruises,
crazy.
and they take, for 2 people for like a week or 10 days, they got like 5 big bags. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
I can exist out of a backpack and a pull-along bag for months. You know, but before I moved to the US, all I had in the UK was after we'd done like a tour, and then I was in the UK for like another month, and I just had 1 bag of stuff, and that's it. And it's totally fine. It's crazy what you can live with.
US adapters. Definitely bringing some of them this time.
Get yourself one adapter, and I'll order. Do you want me to order a bunch of like long 6-way things so you can have it in your bunk?
Please. That'd be awesome.
There you go.
6-way. Ooh.
Oh,
Jesus.
6-way. A couple of USBs in there for you, mate, as well. Beautiful.
Are we going to buy a coffee machine at the start of the
That's
tour?
what this tour's for. We got the money in the bank now to get all the coffee supplies that we need.
Thank you, Twitch.
Thank you,
Thank
Twitch. Yeah, if anyone's still, if you want to make it gold-plated coffee, there's still time to tip. But we've had quite a bit of tipping coming in and subbing and stuff, so we'll be able to get a nice pour-over thing. Probably get a nice machine,
Get a
grinder. We want to be able to get all this stuff and have it in a
we
flight
won't be able
case.
to afford the beans.
Yeah,
God, everything's going to be so expensive now, isn't it? I was fantasizing about, we're going to hit loads of Japanese restaurants, hopefully most days. It's going to cost a fortune.
it is going to be more
Right,
money.
just have 1 piece of sushi a day. Be right.
Yeah, baby bird it.
Mic-
Have it next day as well.
Microwave chicken biscuits from Walmart, mate.
Oh, God. In the microwave that takes like 20 minutes to heat up something that should take 3 minutes in the bandwagon. It's just got
those
no
dirty
power.
Doritos.
We definitely need a Cracker Barrel at least once.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
There's a
Oh,
decent-ish
yes.
diner to us. Like the morning after you guys arrive, we'll go to that diner, get some food in. Hang on. Will says, what would actually make you happy if someone showed up with as a gift at a VIP session? That's a really good question to ask, so that people don't turn up with chicken biscuits.
For me, a really awesome bottle of mead, like legit mead. Oh God.
I'm gonna say. I mean,
Punnet of cherries. That's what you need, Dan. A
I
punnet
put
of
it in cherries and some mead. That's it. That's all I need.
awesome things to turn up with. Just a big wad of money. Bring us like a big load of cash. Now,
Yeah, it's a-
nice.
yeah,
Good, nice wine
Yeah, right.
or
A
beer
yeah.
which isn't fucking stout that tastes of peanut butter. For fuck's
Yeah,
sake.
don't-
Who-
Don't bring
Local cheeses.
not American orange cheese. That's not what we mean by local cheese, America. We mean, something that's got a bit of poke
I still don't think asking people to bring cheese
in
is a
America.
good idea.
Yeah, box of Warhammers for me. That'd be fucking sick. Now bring nice light roast coffee from somewhere where the people serving it behind the thing, they're wearing like overalls and they've got loads of tattoos. That's when you know you're getting a good coffee.
Could be a prison.
What about
though.
just like
Could be a
one
prison.
solid?
Yeah, that's true.
What about just one solid piece of advice?
No, I don't want that. I know everything.
Like
Here's your
legit,
laptop.
Guess your
like, life-changing advice at every show.
Light
Just one
roast
piece.
is someone just said in chat. We don't want the stuff that's like been sprayed with caramel taste or anything like that. We don't want dark roast. We want-
Crappy, chappy, macky, trino, extra chinos.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
American Zinfandel is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Just like a bottle of nice wine. That'd be sick as well.
I don't know. Comical memorabilia would be really good. I mean, if anyone wants to bring a nice, authentic cowboy hat.
You want
to-
cowboy hat.
You do realise you're going to get
That's
multiple
all he
cowboy
wants.
hats now. You ask. This is the thing that's you're going to get cowboy hats, boots. You're probably going to get a gun.
Do you know what
I'm
would
defi-
look amazing on metal? Like legit cowboy hat, but also
Chaps.
like boots, Spurs. like spurs on the bottom, so like clanking around as he's walking with a holster and a gun. I think it.
Yeah, dress like that, but walk around New York or LA. And basically, just look very strange. I think that'd be great.
You'll fit in. I wouldn't worry about it. There's a very eclectic mix
Walking
over
the
it.
back streets of Vancouver dressed as a cowboy. Awesome.
Can I have a cow? Can somebody bring a cow with the cowboy hat?
No, the trailer's full
No,
of gear.
And I'm the only one that could house it post-tour, and we were kind of at max capacity with animals. Thanks very much. As much as Bailey would love a cow.
You should legit get a cow.
All right, shall I wrap this up? I think we've reached the natural conclusion. We've answered the
We
questions.
have. Yep.
But yeah,
Nice one. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much,
thank you.
watchers, people that are tuned into this. We'll try and do some kind of things on this when we're on tour, even if it's just one of us on a phone or something. Keep the ball rolling a bit. But thanks for everyone that's grabbed an album. Thanks for everyone that's grabbed some merch. Thanks for everyone that's grabbed some tickets and some VIPs. I hope you're enjoying the album so far. And yeah, if you haven't got your tickets, come out and see us on the road, because it's going to be the best show of your life.
Damn straight.
And we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Yeah.